Oh yeah, what's going on, my sinners? Welcome back to the Sin Bin Podcast, episode 11. And we are live and direct. And I am your host, the Toxic Offender, also known as Moodz. Yeah. And of course, I have all my sinners up in the house with me tonight. We got the Mexican, also known as JP. We got Mr. Saucedo, also known as Tyler. And of course, last but definitely not least, we've got Tony, the Shiner Hartman. What's going on, my sinners? Yeah.
Yo, what up? It's this is like the finale for Italian Horror Month, kinda, because we wrapped up 22 shots.
It did really work out well, didn't it? Because with Vinegar Syndrome announcing the Giallo Volume 7 set for November, I mean, that was really just kind of a match made in heaven now, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
So, but, you know, we'll speak more on that when we get to the films. Was it a match made in heaven? I don't know. But yeah, no, this is definitely our last. Well, I guess it's not a last rating because we're doing a show next month, right? We just don't know what we're doing yet.
Yeah, because the rest of the titles will be announced in like 2 days. So we got like, I assume there's like, is there partner label stuff too that's announced?
In December, I'm not sure. In December, they're going to have 21 partner for label releases.
I think there was new partner labels that were pre-ordered for December. I'm pretty sure there was.
They're doing it on the 3rd, the day after the sale.
Oh, okay, something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there's enough Vinegar Syndrome stuff. We could probably just dive into that shit anyways. So
I mean, there's we already know some of the titles like
Blood Tracks
or Blood Tracks rather, and
Looking for Mr. Goodbar.
Yeah, that one. Couple other ones.
Congo.
Fucking
Congo, baby.
But it really is going to come down to what those two secret titles are, and I think there's also a VSL and something else, right?
Yeah, there's a VSL.
Yeah, it's like
I think there's two cinematographs.
Yeah, which, dude, I mean,
that's a huge fucking package this time, man. It was like, it was expensive for me.
I feel like at least one of them's got to be good though. Like they're gonna save like a good one for Black Friday. You know what I mean?
Could they get any worse?
I mean, it's definitely not like, it's definitely not a strong showing for.
Well, I think the last one was a step in like a good direction with Shanks, the William Castle film.
I haven't seen it, but so
I didn't watch it.
Really should have an opinion on it. But
I thought you were talking about your last month review, which was Go Fish.
No, that was awful.
Yeah,
that was actually pretty bad.
I just like
they're putting turds in there, so I don't even have to worry about it.
Yeah, the thing that just disappoints me about the label is just like it's not like what they said it was going to be.
It's not what we thought it was going to be.
I feel like a lot of the the sub labels that Vinegar Syndrome has been doing throughout their existence is they're starting to lose their ways, even with the VSLs, in my opinion. Like the VSLs at first was kind of focusing on like really not VSLs, VSAs. And at first they started out with like kind of obscure horror films that were kind of like, low budget obscure shit, and then it kind of drifted into like doing like a lot of 90s action films and stuff, which I really enjoy, like those straight to video film and stuff. And they did a lot of this range, and I feel like the last few titles, give or take one or two or whatever, have felt like they've kind of lost their ways a little bit. We'll get into that a little bit more later on in the show,
because been like Hong Kong titles, right?
Yeah, so the Hong Kong, it feels out of sorts a little bit, but I feel like, especially the two that are in this episode, I feel like are way out there.
Yeah, I mean, I think the point of that one is to like feel like a video store type thing.
Yeah,
I guess
that's how I interpreted it, and I feel like most of the titles feel like stuff you would find in the video store. But
for sure,
yeah, I think Mindbenders definitely fits like the early like VSA like theme of like the shit that you will literally only find in a video store.
Yeah, I get that, but it's totally something like that for sure. But I feel like the content itself, if you look at the overall product of like the entire range of like the first 50 films, like, you would put a lot over here and then you put like Mindbenders over here, because it doesn't really like, I don't know, like you're gonna watch these like Billy Blank films and then you're gonna throw Mindbenders. You're like, this is from the same range.
Like, I think
it's weird to me, man.
I think
Cynthia
like
Rockroth films, like
all the labels, like I think like the most successful one still is the VSA though, in terms of like what feels like most uh close to what they were going for.
Yeah.
Besides DeGosser. I mean, DeGosser is that not like the label of the year right now, like in terms of like the sub labels? Like they're doing good shit with DeGosser.
So they've
Yeah.
done Cannibal Musical,
The Ripper,
The Ripper.
fucking her, Redneck
Oh,
Zombies,
that was still okay.
Yeah.
the evil clown one,
Yeah.
the
Blood
puppet
Cult.
one, Blood Cult. Yeah, so I feel like the Gosser line's been really fun.
And then yeah,
Um,
we're getting Cannibal the Musical.
yeah,
Yeah,
Cannibal the
that's a great
Musical.
Which,
title.
fits in.
I think that like, and we talked about this a few times, but the Cinematographe line, like, I feel like the first two titles they like nailed the idea behind it, which was like these sort of like studio films that were kind of like not almost like kind of sort of forgotten, haven't been like focused on in a long time with like Little Darlings and stuff like that. But yeah, I'm not a big fan of that line.
Yeah.
Uh, I'm still collecting it for some reason, but I don't know if I'll go a whole nother year collecting them. I was like, I made a deal with myself that I'd finish out the year on them.
I just feel
I'm
like
surprised you collected the entire year, honestly. It
Yeah.
was so
Well,
easy to jump off of that line at like May.
I
if they're
think I
part of the
tapped
package deal, like I always just get the full package deal. And I'm like, fuck it, they're part of it. Whatever it is, what it is.
I think after Touch, I decided like I'm kind of done with these guys. You know, no, you know what? I gave them another chance the next month with that Abel Ferreira movie, and I kind of like felt like that movie was like, yeah, this was fine, but this is kind of what I want like the floor to be for these. Like, I don't want like more just like garbage movies. And the next month was like a movie
yeah.
I passed up on a Kino sale like for a bunch of that I passed up for 9.99
Yeah.
on Kino sales for like a bunch of times.
Yeah,
So
fucking
Yeah.
Bloodline. Fuck, we got to stop doing those feature reviews, man.
That
that
Touch
was
was
Bloodline.
via
that was
VSL.
VSL.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it was a VSL. Fuck, right.
Yeah.
That honestly
There's so many sub labels I can't even fucking keep track of what's on
that
what now.
honestly like probably like would have fit like on like the cinematograph line
It
too.
actually does feel
Actually,
like one of those
yeah, I
titles, doesn't
actually
it?
agree with you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's probably
I
why I
feel
was
like the
getting it wrong.
VSL, like the VSL line, like when it first came out, I felt like it was like more like classic-y movies, like pre 70s type shit.
Hmm.
Like the Cat Creeps and the fucking Flesh Fantasy,
Yeah, those are
I'm
good. I
kind of
mean,
in. Yeah, I'm kind
Five
of
Card
interested in that.
Stud,
Yeah, like what was it this year? They came with a 5 card stud. They came out with the Polish one I did. They came out with
Interrogation.
Bloodlines. Yeah, was there another one?
that was a good
Yeah,
movie, actually.
the Kinski Panini or
Oh, I
whatever.
didn't.
Yeah,
Yeah, I didn't. I
That
didn't
Paganini.
pick up.
fucking movie.
I didn't
right.
That
pick up
movie is
that one.
perfect for a VSL because where the hell else are you gonna put that thing?
Yeah, but I'm kind of interested in them.
Story of a Junkie was another one.
Oh, okay. So they've done a little more than I
Well, if you
thought.
ever released like a Kinski box set, that's where you get that's where it would go, Tony.
Yeah,
In the
Right, it'd
fucking
be
box
like
set.
yeah.
in a
I thought
bonus
that.
feature.
Yeah, I thought that interrogation movie was like a really good release. And if I was like collecting that line, like 5 card stud is like something I would be like happy to have.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I really liked that one. That one was a good one.
it
But
was
yeah,
decent. It was decent.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's the kind of
so
movie like I happily buy from Kino, like every sale.
yeah.
yeah, so so next episode will be the November titles, and then that'll come out in December, and then January will be since December is partner label month, we won't actually do like a full show on like movies that are coming out, but we'll be doing a like a top 10 show of the year for our favorite releases. And um yeah, I think that we'll probably get like sort of like a master list together and sort of just walk through quickly like what all came out month by month in terms of at least the Vinegar Syndrome stuff. Like I'm not gonna list every partner label
I need the
thing,
start,
but
like the start of what's out, because I always forget by the end of the year.
the
Because I
start would be everything from episode 2 and on, I
right,
believe.
Yeah,
okay.
it's
It's just
pretty easy.
I need to know the overall titles because there might have been stuff that we didn't cover on
Right.
here that
Oh
actually
yeah,
might end up
definitely
being high on a
Yeah,
list
for
because
sure.
we only cover so much and they release so much stuff. So it's just I mean I can go look through my purchase history too. That actually helped. I did that actually before too. I was like, oh shit, yeah, that was from this time. I'm like, oh shit.
Well, on their website, they also put their stuff out chronologically. So if you just go
Yeah,
back to
Yeah.
when the
that's what I
one
was gonna
title
say.
is,
It makes
Oh,
it
if you go
pretty
from new to
easy.
old kind of thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Oh
you
yeah.
can just scroll back. The only thing
Actually,
with
that
the
makes more.
partner, yeah, the only thing with the partner labels is which we have to figure out all the partner labels that aren't there anymore. I know
Mm.
there's at least Altered Innocence
I
and
really don't. I honestly really don't care.
Honestly, it's such a fucking mess.
Because
And if you have a couple titles that are like, oh yeah, these are gonna make bonafide make my top 10, and all of a sudden they fucking book out halfway through the year, you're like, oh shit, I guess that doesn't go on my list anymore.
well, at the
I
end of
think
the
if it
day,
was
it's
eligible,
still your
I think those
favorite.
can, yeah, I
It's still
think
your
yeah,
those
it's a
can be favorite
2024
releases.
release.
exactly. I think no matter what happens to that sister label throughout the year, if it was released in that year and was eligible at one time, it's still eligible by the end of the year.
Yeah,
If
is
you
there
just make that a
anybody
rule, then
that
it's so easy to follow by.
is there
Yeah,
anybody
I
that
think
jumped
so.
ship besides Altered Innocence and Death
Death
Crocodile?
Crocodile. TerraVision was
Um,
last year, I think.
I think that was it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and those did it pretty early. Realistically, like I only have maybe like one movie from either of those labels that could make it anyway. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's sort of the lineup, and then obviously in the second show of the year will be the stuff that gets out in January, I believe. Or did no, that's subscriber month. Did they have something on subscriber month?
I
Yeah,
think so. Yeah.
they
Okay.
do normal releases in January.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, there will be.
Yeah.
I've pretty much decided I'm probably gonna subscribe again because I think the value was like definitely there with the show. Um
Yeah.
it I mean I was pretty happy overall with it. I really love the perk of having like the discount on like all the other titles. That's where I think you really save the money.
For sure.
For sure.
I mean, for you, it's interesting because you always claim that you don't really buy a lot of sister label stuff. Where me and Tyler, and I think Tony does too. Like we buy a lot of sister label stuff. So, and it would
I
make more
mean,
sense for me to subscribe.
well,
But
this year is a little bit different. I mean, I bought a good bit of sister label stuff. Like I probably bought like at least 15, 20 titles at least, I would have to say. Because yeah, I mean, some months I would get like three or four partner label stuff in, like Gut Pile, Reflecting Skin, Murder Party, Abducted. Those are all found footage phenomena. That's like five in this past month.
mm,
Also, at this point, we're paying like 50% off for like what, 3 to 4 VS sub labels every month on top of partner labels.
Right. Yeah.
So that alone is worth it too. Like
yeah,
all the
Yeah.
Cinematographe, all that shit would get 50% off.
Yeah.
I've bought in more
you should get a
sister
bigger
labels.
discount for those. You should get like 75%
agree.
off those shit
I
Well,
titles.
actually,
because
I
it's
kind of agree
actually
with
no,
that.
it's because
I
it's
agree.
retail price too. So it's like goes from
Yeah.
$40 to $20 or something, you know.
Yeah. Like if they gave you
Yeah,
like 60% off of like their sub labels, I think that would be like a little bit more fair, honestly.
I think that would get a lot more subscribers.
Yeah. Because like, well, an interesting example is like for like the V like VSL where it's like it's literally anything. So like why couldn't that just be on Vinegar Syndrome like if it's just literally anything, you know what I mean? It's like a
Yeah.
sub label for like literally anything they want.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, me personally, if all that VSL shit was like on the normal VS line, then I probably wouldn't subscribe. Because to me, like the normal Vinegar Syndrome shit that is like on the sub is such a well
Hmm.
curated little fucking cluster that it just perfectly like encapsulates like I don't know, like a vibe to me. Like if you start
Yeah.
throwing Klaus Kinski fucking Panini bullshit in that, then yeah,
Panini.
then I'm
So
gonna
it seems kind of weird. So
I'm gonna
is
start
Mr.
having
Goodbar
problems.
is
Huh?
Mr. Goodbar regular VS or is that a sub label?
It is. And honestly, I'm really surprised by that. And I'm
Yeah,
honestly
like
really happy about it.
I thought it was. I was surprised that was too actually.
yeah,
Yeah,
So,
another
there's
one
but
that doesn't really seem like Vincent that would be more of a sub label to me is Singapore Sling. I saw a lot of people like not like that in
yeah,
the
I thought
sing
Singapore
groups.
Sling. I was just looking at it a second ago and I would have thought it was like a VSL or something.
yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, it's funny how you can just look at certain titles and be like, "Well, that's not VS," and you're like, "Oh shit, it is."
Yeah.
It's like what I did with Bloodline. It just feels like it should have been a Cinematograph line.
Yeah,
Well,
that
I picture
actually totally true on that.
Yeah.
I feel like yeah, maybe they meant it to be, and they just like they probably bought a lot of like all these movies, and they just
they
said, "Fuck
probably
it, let
meant
me
it to
throw
be,
this
and then they
one."
watched it and be like, dude, nobody, this line already isn't selling that well.
It
You
seems
would
that
think though,
VSLs are also like lesser known titles because I feel like Singapore slang has like too big of like a cult
that's got a
following
cult following. Yeah,
Yeah.
well,
Yeah.
it's actually got way smaller when you think we're just like in that like little know of this movie.
enough to sell
Yeah.
like
Oh yeah,
2,000 copies.
like I was like shocked at like the feedback that movie was getting like in the Facebook group. People were like, "Oh, this movie's not for me. I didn't like that." Like this movie's
It's
great. This is
interesting because
great.
it's been widely and readily, well, I think it's been out of print from Synapse, but it was a wide release from them fucking over 15 years ago. It's been around forever.
I didn't even know that.
Like it was on DVD for so long, dude. It came out in the 2000s. Like it's crazy to me that like people never caught on to that. I mean, I guess like if you're not into those type of boutique labels, because Synapse was a lot smaller in those days too. It was, DVD, and they were a little
If
later to the
you got
Blu-rays, but
into like collecting it probably like the last like couple of years, you probably wouldn't really know. Like Synapse is like much less like prestigious as it was several years ago. Like other than like really the like those like nice Argento sets they put out for like Panama and like Tenebrae, there doesn't really seem to be like there's like a ton that would like bring people into Synapse. Like
yeah,
so
well, it
Mm,
depends. It depends the content that you're interested in because like I've been collecting Synapse films for so long. Like they always release stuff that I was interested in. So, but like I said, it just depends what you're into, right?
yeah. They just
And
seemed like a way bigger player back then.
yeah, they did a lot of cool stuff. They still have a lot of time. I don't know if they still have the rights to them, but there's a lot of titles that they'd released throughout that time period that haven't been re-released by other companies. So I don't know if they still if they bought those movies and they just haven't re-released them on Blu-ray. You know how they are with their Blu-rays; they take forever to come out,
Mhm.
anyways. But
Yeah.
who knows? But like they do have a vast catalog of pretty interesting titles, man. And those things haven't seen the Blu-ray, so a lot of people might not even know about these titles because they're released on DVD and haven't been around in a while. So but yeah, it's always been a company that it's kind of like Mondo Macabro, right? Like Mondo, I think, has always been a huge player in terms of films that I'm looking for, like the world cinema that's totally obscure, totally bonkers, totally out there. And, it's pretty much what their motto is too. But like, they own a lot of fucking movies that they haven't re-released too. So if they start to come out now and be like, oh shit, that was, they put out that DVD fucking 2002.
Yeah, I've been
Like,
liking Mondo a lot lately. There's some
yeah.
I've been like the last 2 years have like really like increased the amount of titles I have
Like
from
with their
them.
Bollywood films and stuff, like putting out that box set was really cool for of them to like redo those films and shit because they put those out years and years ago on double features and stuff. They were out of print for they've been out of print for 20 fucking years, dude. They just didn't do anything with them again. So that's what they kind of did back in the day was like smaller runs and shit. I think
Mhm.
once they kind of sold out their runs, they just they even though they probably actually own the movies, they just whatever didn't reprint them.
Yeah.
Move on to the next shit because it's a small operation over there. I get how Mondo operates. Like you were actually talking about them today. You're like, shit, dude. Maybe it's because of the sale. I'm like, no, it takes like 2 fucking weeks for them to ship. Even like I'll order something in the middle of the summer, no holidays, nothing, no sale around, and 2 weeks later, oh shit, yeah, I forgot I ordered 2 movies from Mondo. Here's my
I got
shipping
mine
notice.
today, and I think I ordered them like almost a month ago exactly. A little
Yeah,
bit more.
I understand how he
Yeah, I
operates
think
because
mine shipped yesterday.
I've talked to him personally a few different times. I always forget his fucking name. And he, explained this the whole thing to me. I was like, that totally makes sense. Totally makes sense. But so, so be patient if you're buying shit from Mondo. It's a small operation, but at least you're getting the thing about Mondo that I've always enjoyed is that through physical media prices, along with everything else in the world, inflation has just gone through the fucking roof. We're paying so much more for titles, where Mondo is still selling their standard editions for $20.
Mhm.
Like they were selling them $20 like fucking 10 years ago. Like it's crazy. They haven't really upped their price. They're special edition. They came out with a special and they're a little bit more, but their prices are definitely, in my opinion, you get a lot of bang for your buck because these movies no one else is doing and you're paying not the high premium price for them also. To me
Yeah.
personally, like if you're somebody like me that doesn't really give a flying fuck about red cases and booklets and stuff, so when those things sell out in 5 minutes, I'm like, oh, boo-hoo, I didn't get the red case. Ah, fuck me. No. I wait a month later and get the fucking standard for $8 cheaper. I don't care. It's still for me at the end of the day, it's about the movie, and that's what I want. So
mhm.
fucking
Did you
Mondo's
guys
for that shit.
see? Did you guys see Red Shirt Pictures' third release announcement?
No.
What was
No.
the second one?
Trick or
Trick or
Treat
treat.
There was. I thought that was the first one. What was the first one?
effects documentary
Oh fuck, I didn't even know.
called After Effects. It's actually one that I like a lot and been wanting on disc for a really long time. It is sort of a Deliverance ripoff. It's Hunter's Blood.
Oh hell yeah! I fucking love Hunter's
4K.
Blood.
4K on that because
Clue
that
Gulager.
film
Why do I know that movie? Yeah,
it
Yeah,
has a
just-
very iconic like cover with like a shotgun coming out of the water, sort of like Deliverance.
Yeah, it's
had a
just
deep-
about a bunch of hunting dudes, like Clue Gulager and his son, like Sam Bottoms and their friends. They just go on a hunting trip and they just like cross paths with just a bunch of locals. And it's just your typical backwoods
Just a
bullshit horror movie.
exploitation.
is
type
it
movie,
80s or
but
is it 70s or 80s?
86.
86?
Yeah. But when I watched it when we did 86 back in the day, and it was
Oh.
like a shit dog VHS transfer.
It was on YouTube. There was a
Yeah.
YouTube shit
And
dog.
then
Yeah,
I bought a bootleg a couple years ago that I have on DVD that has a little bit better of a transfer, but it's still pretty garbage. But Felsher posted some screenshots of the difference between the VHS and the 4K. Obviously, you're not gonna be able to see what is good through my phone through a webcam, but it definitely looks fucking way better.
at least it's in widescreen.
Man. Yeah, it actually
That
has
too.
colors
Yeah.
in it.
Yeah. Look at the guy's jacket. Like how much of it's on screen, the guy in the gray jacket.
Yeah.
Versus how much is like cut off. Well, that could be no, that's the same scene.
Yeah,
It is.
same
It's just bad. And like the
Same
color
shot.
palette on that is crazy.
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah, the
so-
color palette's great.
So
So yeah, I'm
I
excited
watched
for
that.
that one.
I watched that for sure. For
I think
86.
that was Billy Bob Thornton's first movie.
Hmm.
I think he's just like some hillbilly that jumps on the back of a pickup truck and then gets thrown off, and that's it.
That's like when I watch Donnie Darko and like Seth Rogen's in there, just like there, and I'm like, that is so weird.
And the brother from
Yeah, that's
iCarly.
random as fuck.
I love those like dudes go out on a hunting trip type thing and then shit doesn't go
me
right.
too. Yeah,
Mhm.
I love that
Like
shit.
I love the movie Rituals. That's a fucking great movie, man.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Yeah. So, but yeah, should we move on here?
Yeah,
Yes.
we should probably.
Because we got a couple
We got
extra,
a late start tonight, and we're doing the most reviews we've done, I think.
yeah, we got 3 main reviews, so we should probably dip into that. Okay, so I did do the order and I already forgot what it is now. Oh yeah, JP's up first. So it goes JP, me, Tyler, Tony.
Okay.
I'm coming. Hold on.
I know he gets up right when I say, "Oh, it's JP's up first."
Well, I didn't think it would be me first, fucker.
I'll have to try and make mine short tonight.
Yeah, mine's gonna be a little shorter too.
It probably shouldn't. It probably shouldn't be that long, Tony. It's the ghost dance.
All
Yeah,
right, so
Not too much to talk about.
my title here is one that I was just more so intrigued upon. And where the hell did everybody go?
They disappeared.
You know what? I'm not talking about it while they're gone. Fuck them. So, what do you do?
The demons ghost got them.
Yeah. All right, so my title is the title I was pretty curious on. It is a VSA, and it is fingerprinted.
Oh, hell yeah.
Look at those
Yeah,
greasy
dude.
fingers, man. He's beating
Dude,
fucking
I don't even have
taquitos.
greasy fingers. Right?
Those are taquito marks, man.
This cover is like way
Doritos
glossier
fingers.
than the other ones. It
I
has
gotta
like
make sure
it
mine's
has like
not like that, so I don't get roasted.
That
Oh,
really.
you notice that the sticker on top of that's back to the sticker or the label it used to have.
Oh, okay. So it was probably just an error then.
Yeah.
Oh, it was. I even said that. I was like, it's got to be an error. Makes no sense to do like 47 like that, and then we're gonna change it
Yeah,
up.
they're probably just like, yeah, we're not reprinting this shit. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
I got 225 on this one.
I think what they were
Nice.
doing, they were just trying to keep the collectors and the fans on their feet, man. They're like, well, I wonder if they'll notice, man. Because if they do notice, which they know we're going to, they're gonna start talking. It's gonna be a big conversation piece, and it'll bring more attention to it and shit. And
God,
It's
of
smart.
course we notice. We're so retarded. Like we
We're-
notice such little stupid shit like that. instantly.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
It's funny because I never look at like some people are so hell bent on like what number they get. Like I looked at
well, you
this one.
can't really be hell bent because you can't pick them.
It's completely
No,
right.
random.
No, but I love the people who are like, yeah, but I got fucking numbers, 438 out of 4,000. It's awesome. I'm like,
Dude, no.
what the
The
fuck?
only
What's your
time-
what's
the
your
only
lowest
time-
number?
Oh, dude, probably like
Well, I was just looking at this one. I just looked at it
Right,
now.
this
It's
one.
1,000. It's 1,069 on Mindbenders, which makes me laugh. 69.
My spellbinder, I think, is like 20,
That's
which
crazy.
I think is insane.
I don't
I
think
have
I have
one
any
really-
really low ones. Like I think I have one that's like in the hundreds. That might be the lowest one I have.
My gun for Jennifer
this
Jennifer
one's
one is really
255
low.
and this one's 225.
Yeah, but you're also a subscriber, so that makes more. You're a subscriber too, right, Tony?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you guys would get the first one. So you guys' numbers should technically be lower.
Honestly,
Here's
it doesn't matter.
I don't think it
Shit's
matters
like
because I get high-ass
2,500.
numbers.
My
all the time.
my gun for Jennifer one is like 60.
They probably just grab them out
Crazy.
of the box.
It's
Like,
crazy too, because
yeah.
like I buy mine, I get mine like right away too and shit. Like it's just it is what it is, man. I do
It's so
a lot of lower
random.
numbers.
The
Well, I
thing
mean,
about-
if you get like 666 or like fucking number 2 or
Damn,
something,
that would
be
be
cool.
fucking awesome.
yeah.
So like even like last month with my dial D for demons is 1149, and like I bought mine, that first day they were on sale kind of thing. Like that's what I got.
Yeah, you do buy later than us though.
Well, it's a few hours. It's usually a few hours later because I'm at work all that time, and you guys already pick what movies you're going to watch or review. And then
Yeah, we're switching
I
that
get
up.
the
for the new
stragglers.
year.
I get the
We're switching
fucking
that up for
straggler.
the new year. Who's
Yeah,
going first?
there's-
This new year?
There's no way they grab like each number as they go. They're grabbing from like different
Yeah,
fucking
that's what I'm
stacks.
thinking. Yeah.
Probably.
So anyway, back to my review, and you was gonna say something, Tyler.
I was just gonna say I'm pretty sure the one that I got was like I got at the Vincent store. That was that low.
Oh wow.
Wow.
Do you think they just
so
keep
that
the
makes
number
sense.
one of every one of them?
I think it's just completely random. And then
No, I'm saying, do you think they just keep the number one out of all of them and just have a collection of number ones?
I've never seen anyone
know.
get a number. Well, but then again, I don't watch everyone's fucking videos. Others like,
Yeah,
but I've never really actually seen one. But
I should
can-
if I ever get a chance to talk.
Take
to
the
them,
sticker off your last one and put a new one on and put number 1 on it.
ooh, there you go.
They can't say it's not.
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
awesome.
Okay, so Dial D for Demons. This was a movie that I was just kind of curious. It was a VSA that was a little later, 2000. I feel like most VSAs are pre 2000. I would probably say.
Is that their first 2000s movie?
From the VSA line, yeah, I think so.
Just from Vinegar Syndrome, period. Well, besides VSP, I guess.
Well, yeah, 'cause
All that shit's new.
I feel like there's definitely something else in one of the ranges that's from the 2000. I believe there is, but I could be
That's
wrong.
interesting. That's actually an interesting thought, though. Like how many?
Yeah, because I can't even think of one.
It's funny
Yeah,
too
I'm
because
trying to
Dial D
think,
for
too.
Demons was actually filmed in '99, but it was released in 2000.
Well, that makes sense to consider most movies.
Well, they
are
actually even say it in the
filmed.
movie. They even have like a date at one point in the film, and it's like 1999.
So yeah, D for Demons. It's basically came out in the year 2000. It is a Hong Kong film directed by Billy Tang, who you might know from Dr. Lamb, 1992, as well as Red to Kill, 1994. Two
Great movie.
Cat 3 movies. So yeah, this is not Cat 3 worthy. So yeah, this is it follows a group of 6, 2 boys, 4 girls who go out to this vacation house on an island, and it's sort of a rental property. One of the characters named Bully, Big Bully, is able to see some ghosts and shit. And then he dies, and then everybody tries to get out of there, but they can't escape this haunted area, basically, is the plot. So yeah, this movie was, man, where do I really start? Like, it feels very inspired by J-horror, specifically stuff like that was coming out around the time of like After the Ring. Did you guys feel that at all?
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, it really reminded me of like a PlayStation 1 video game.
Especially
movie-
in the scenes where the camera got all like jerky You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like low. It looked like low frame rate.
Yeah, the
Hmm.
supernatural angle of this movie and just the way they try to execute those elements is super, super J horror.
Yeah.
I've never seen a J horror film come up with, which I would probably call, in my opinion, the stupidest reveal in the history of cinema. The explanation as to what is happening in this movie, I've never heard any J horror film ever do this.
I was thinking that it was some sort of like actual folklore or something that I just wasn't like privy to.
Dude,
That's what specifically reminded me of like a PlayStation 1 video game ending.
fuck.
Like it was so like weirdly stupid and like I don't know, like that's just the vibe I got from it.
That's kind of a
The,
good comparison, but
the part about him not being able to watch the football game almost made me die of laughter. I was like, did they just throw that in there as kind of a point of why this shit kind of went fucking bananas? And I was like, I rewound it and I was like, bro, I totally just got that. Like,
it
what
was
the
funny when the other dude character just starts like speaking like perfect English. like and then I watched the special features and he speaks like perfect English.
yeah, yeah, that's
Better than me. But yeah, so stuff okay, so the movie is like pretty damn slow and there's not a lot that really happens. Um I did like some of the like world altery type thing where it feels like very like Nightmare on Elm Street, like five, where they're just like trying to escape an area and they just keep ending up back in the same place again in this house. And I thought that was kind of cool. I thought it was decent that they all the other surrounding houses like kind of just disappeared and they're just stuck in this area. There is some cool like visual stuff going on, some decent like actual cinematography. There's some weird choices with the cinematography as well, but I liked when the at the end when like the fire ash things were like falling. I thought that looked cool. It was a cool image. Um, what else? I just feel like at the core, like there's just not enough like anything like kills, scares, like you know, crazy shit. Like the crazy shit is like, oh, we ran upstairs and we're back downstairs.
dude, there's literally a like one of those like late 90s, early 2000s jump scares every four seconds in this film. Like they're not trying to do genuine scares. They're just fucking they're hitting the crash and the big kick drum with a fucking
Yeah.
And they
there's
just keep
there's your
finding
scare
bodies.
But like you're right about the Nightmare on Elm Street thing, where like, it kind of alters reality and stuff like that. But like everything that you're watching, you're just like, okay, like nothing makes a lick of sense. But then when you get the reveal, it makes everything you watch so fucking stupid. Like they try to over explain, and then you think back on it, and you're like, well, what the like? Why is any of this shit even happening in the first place?
Yeah.
Like it's so. Oh my god, dude. Anyways, go on.
Yeah, no, it was a frustrating watch. It's just it like I'm just like, what was like the point of this? Like where was the like the idea that went from paper to head to paper to like actually filmed? And this was filmed on film too, not digital, which I thought was cool. And it looks good. Like, I mean, the movie looks great, especially with the transfer and stuff like that. But I just like needed something like it. Like, I thought it was gonna be like fucking Evil Dead or something. You know what I mean? Like something cool and like just nuts. But it wasn't. And then the whole like thing with the like beepers and the phones and stuff, I just thought was like lame as hell. And
Well,
that
like
was like so
even with that stuff, like they try to explain it away, but none of that even makes a lick of sense either.
yeah, licks.
The
It,
little
it-
cryptic backwards messages were annoying as fuck to look at too.
Well, yeah, especially
yeah,
because we're like fucking don't understand. Like first you're trying to look at the actual screen and see like the Mandarin or whatever it is, and then then you're looking at the subtitles and you're like, what the fuck is going on?
I know.
Um, but yeah, I mean, I don't really have a lot to say about it. I mean, I thought even the characters were kind of annoying. Um, I didn't really like
You don't
anybody.
see that very often where you kind of have like a mismatch of like the ratio of characters, like there was more females than guys in the film.
I actually I don't really take notes, but that I did write that down. I said,
It's weird.
why these four hot chicks hanging out with these dudes?
And then the one dude, and then the one dude dies, and it's one guy
the
and
dude
four hot
bounces
chicks.
early.
And then the fucking,
Yeah.
which plays
Yeah.
again into, but it's like,
Like,
it's so
how often do you ever remember in like your life where it was like two guys, like you and your bro, and like four chicks like hanging out? Like I can't really think of many examples of
Never.
that happened to me.
I mean, the
But
female
weren't they just
cast
like
was good
work
looking.
I
buds
remember
too?
one time I was in a scenario like that, but like one of the girls was my friend's cousin. So it was like we hung out, like we got
Yeah.
it was her group of friends, and we were definitely like getting ignored by the other four girls.
Yeah.
The females were hot, man, in the film though.
Yeah, that's like, yeah.
Yeah, they're all good
Um,
looking.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, this was a I could see myself finding this in the video store. Like it did feel like sort of that tail end of the video store era type movie. But man, I don't know. I just was like, this shit is fucking stale, man.
You know
It
what I
just has
said?
no oomph to it.
You know what I said when I was doing my update? Like I hadn't watched it yet, and I was like,
Yeah.
I'm not really too sure about this movie, but all I know is that the title is super corny. I'm like, I hope the movie's better than the
Well,
fucking corny ass
I
title.
actually expected
kinda
it to
like
be
the
more.
title.
I hate that title. Dial D for Demons sucks, dude. I
Because it
think
I
reminds me of
expected it
Dial
to be
M for
like-
Murder.
It reminds me of 976 Evil. But
976 Evil, I think, is better than Dial D for Demons. It's just lame.
I kind
It's
of
fucking
thought it
lame.
was good. I thought it was gonna be some sort of play on Dial M for Murder for
Oh,
some reason.
Jesus.
Nah, it's just got
Uh,
pagers in it.
Yeah, I thought I thought it was gonna be like more over the top and just like some kind of crazy like demon movie or something, like in a house, like demons or like fucking Night of the Demons or something. But it just ended up being like the bottom barrel like J horror that you
Like-
would get like 5 years after Ring.
It was just a vengeful kind of spirit film. Like I wouldn't really necessarily call it like a full out blown like demon type film. So it's kind of,
No.
it's a little bit misleading because I was expecting more like demon. I wasn't expecting Lambert above as demons, but I was.
Damn it.
But I was expecting like an actual, because I mean we've seen demons and things like that in J horror films and Korean films before, but like in Hong Kong films and stuff we've seen these type of things. But I was like, what the fuck? That's not.
Yeah,
what
you don't
I just
expect
feel like there was
charcoal like
no-
ghosts.
Yeah,
Right.
like it was fucking weird, man.
That
It
was
like,
the
not a
That's
demon.
not the
original
type
that-
of demon you think.
No.
That was the original title of the movie. It was like Charcoal Ghost or something like that.
Oh man.
Yeah. But so for I'll say like the movie itself, I gave a 4 out of 10 to.
Ooh, nicer than I
know
was.
how really?
Did you
Wow.
see mine?
Jesus.
I gave it a
No.
3. I gave it 1.5 on Letterboxd.
Oh
Oh,
my god.
man.
I was
Yeah.
appalled by this, man. And I think that like even it was around, it only runs 87 minutes, and this thing felt like 120 minutes to me. There was so
Well,
much time in
I
this. I'm
watched
just like,
it freaking twice.
ugh.
Well,
So yeah, I would probably say like a solid 4 out of 10. The special features, we don't have much. Funny enough, there's 3 language settings, and all of them are in Cantonese, Mandarin, and I think there was another one.
It's just
So
Cantonese and
none of
Mandarin.
them are English.
Yeah, so there's
um,
just it's Chinese. The 2 Chinese languages.
Yeah, I think
Dialects.
there was a third one too, but I'm not sure. And then you had a commentary track with Kenneth Brorson and Phil Gillian of Podcast on Fire Network.
Nailed it.
Yeah, right. I didn't really care for these dudes too much. Like, I don't know, they did a lot of explaining of just like the people involved and like the films they worked on before and after and stuff like that. And I don't know, their accents were kind of like a little thick. I think they were from the UK. I just didn't find the commentary really that interesting or engaging, unfortunately. But I don't know how I feel usually about like podcasters doing commentaries either, I tend to more gravitate towards like writers that do them. Um,
More just people
but
that are involved with the film, like say a director, writer, actor, like anybody that was
yeah, but
directly.
see, my favorite ones aren't even the ones that have the cast involved. Sometimes I like director ones. Um, Toby Hooper's a really boring commentary guy. He just sounds like he smoked a bunch of weed and is like super monotone.
Well, that's
But
probably
like
what he did.
Carpenter's pretty decent. Craven's really good. And then like the new like Rob Zombie, fucking Eli Roth, um, some of those guys are really good with commentaries. Adam Green is another one who's really good. But I tend to like the ones from like Troy Hallworth or like Amanda Reyes, the like sort of academic-y ones. I kind of like those. Um, so yeah, I didn't really care for the commentary too much. It didn't really do much to help the film either. It just made me more annoyed that I was watching it again. And then there is not one of those movies, a 13-minute interview with actor Terrence Yin. He was the guy that spoke like really good English. He actually did the interview in English. And it was that one was probably the most interesting thing because he was just like a good speaker and like just sort of talked about how this was like one of his first movies and stuff like that. And then there is a video essay by Sam Deegan called The Blood and the Legacy of Billy Tang. It's only 10 minutes long, but it basically goes through his filmography, Billy Tang, from his like Cat 3 stuff to his like some of his TV stuff. He worked with Bruce Lee on something, into like his later career. He actually died back in like 2015 or something like that. Or maybe it was a little bit after that, but his last movie was 2015 anyway. Um, Not sure what it's about or anything, but yeah. So that's basically it on the disc. I checked out everything. Something that I always forget about these VSA releases is they come with a poster.
Well, yeah.
But like I was thinking about it and I'm like, could you imagine like framing all these posters? Like there's so many of them.
Yeah. No.
Do you guys
I
ever
used
get
to,
annoyed that the VSAs like almost never like have like the original art on them?
Mhm.
Yeah, it kind of bugs me a bit.
That annoys the shit out of me. It's like, why put an original art on everything but not your VSAs?
Yeah.
at least make them like a reversible
Especially
cover.
since it's supposed to
Mhm.
capture like the video store vibe, in which case you would think
I
that
think
like
Yeah, put the fucking video cover on it, motherfucker.
I think
Yeah,
some.
that's
I think there's the odd one that does. Doesn't one of the Billy Blanks one have original art? Or maybe I'm just tripping on that.
All of those do
yeah.
actually, yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
not that I'm dissing like this nice art because I think like this is like fantastic looking, but like I kind of do like that just like old crusty looking like original poster of that time. Like that's just like what you remember like seeing in the video stores.
I think that.
I
Mhm.
Yeah.
love the old Corpse Mania poster.
Right.
Yeah, like you don't even get that. You just get like the other reversible monitor under this. Like I wish you could get the original one. I would love that.
I'm surprised that one
88
doesn't have it.
films.
Yeah.
Most of
Those.
them don't that don't. Most of them usually don't. They just have the reversible like monitor under it.
So to go back to this final thoughts on this Dow D for Demons from 2000. It's not often that I get a Vin Sin release and it's a complete dud for me. Usually even like there's something in the special features or something, especially sometimes if it's like a bad movie, like sometimes the features are more interesting because you kind of hear like how the fucking movie got made. But like this is like one of the like first like true duds that I've had that like I don't think there's really anything worth checking out in it.
Yeah. I thought it was a shit stain too. But like I think the most important thing to mention about this Dial D for fucking lames is it's number 50 in the range. So they've done 50 of these now. It's crazy.
Damn.
Yeah, and I missed like the first 20, 25. But what's up with that big ass stack of Giallo box that's behind you?
Oh, that'll be for later conference. Something that you mentioned in the chat. You probably don't remember saying it, but I just wanted to.
Yeah, I remember saying.
I wanted to bring them out
yeah.
for reference because I couldn't remember.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
okay.
can't wait to have that conversation.
Yeah, yeah. So we'll move on here. I'm up next here, and I'm also going to the VSA line. This is of course number 49 because it's from the same month, and that is Mindbenders, which that's pretty cool artwork right there.
It's a Christmas movie, damn it.
I'm assuming that this is like probably the original art for it. I've never seen the original artwork for this. I have no idea.
No, I
think
looked at the
that
poster.
is
It was
not-
originally called like Invasion of the Mindbenders.
Yeah,
That was actually an alternate title because according to the features, it actually was Mindbenders. That was the title. And then it got Invasion. It got released on DVD as Invasion of Mindbenders. Later on, after the VHS, it got a weird DVD release from some random company. I don't know. It's also got another alternate name too. That when it played on USA late tonight, it played under a different title too. I'll try to find that. I can't remember what it is right now.
Up All Night.
Up All Night, yeah, with Gilbert Godfrey or whatever it was. USA Up All Night, whatever. I don't know if it says on the back here or not, but it's got a different title. But yeah, no, I mean, honestly, when you look at this artwork right here, this is a little bit misleading.
Yeah, because there's like one scene in the entire movie where you see something like that.
Yeah, so like when I saw that artwork, I would, honestly, this is a great example of like selling it like a motherfucker because I was like really excited for this. I'm like, it looks like it's an alien type film. I'm like, oh, read on, man, this looks really cool. So, anyways, Mindbender is from 1987. It's directed by Jeannie Joseph, which has a plethora of like fucking alternate names and stuff like that. I think she also goes by Eugenie Joseph. She's probably mostly known for being the third and finishing director on Spookies. So she's the one that stepped in and finished Spookies. Like they had 45 minutes of film. Of course, we know the story by these other directors and stuff. And then she stepped into the last 45 minutes and incorporated the movie and made the film. So that's probably what she's mostly known for. She said she still has conversations every single day about people wanting to know about Spookies. But she's got a pretty interesting like kind of history to her because, obviously being a female director, there wasn't a whole lot at this time doing these type of films. And she actually even goes into, talking about how, this movie was filmed in Montreal, so it's basically Canadian production. But like she said, in Montreal, like in the 80s and stuff, even in Canada, there was no female directors. Like she said, when she stepped onto the set and stuff, it was just like, holy shit, like people were like, damn, that's pretty crazy. It's a female director. But yeah, like I'm not 100% sure if she appeared herself as a like I know she worked on porno films in the 70s and early 80s and stuff before this. I looked it up and I think it does show her as an actress in those movies. And some of them say uncredited or maybe she's like background characters. I'm not sure if she actually was a performer I can't find any information if she was actually performing in pornos. But
Stunt
she
double.
does. Yeah, stunt double. But she does have a lot of different credits within the industry of directing, writing, doing editing. Like she works on all aspects of film. So I'm assuming she probably like, I don't mean to be meaner, but looking at her, I can't see her being in the film. You know what I mean? But you never know. But I just thought that was really interesting, kind of an interesting transition, but quite well respected by a lot of people anyways. But of course, Mindbender's 1987 film. So before you get your hopes up, this movie, before anything else, is most definitely a comedy at heart. It's like a comedy sci-fi. I wouldn't even say it doesn't really have any horror elements to it at all, which is it's so frustrating after seeing this cover. I'm like, okay, Alien, does this not look like a horror film, like sci-fi horror? It
I
does.
would think it's a horror movie if I saw
Yeah,
that.
I mean, I was thinking sci-fi horror. When I see
Yeah,
aliens, I think
at
sci-fi
least
horror.
like a darker or not darker,
Yeah.
but like more of a sci-fi movie.
The other cover you showed us kind of makes it look like a comedy though.
Yeah, well, I'm just saying, if you were to go buy this movie, like right now, if you were to go look it up on the Vinegar Syndrome, this is what you're seeing. So like, you're being sold as like a sci-fi horror film, right?
Yeah, that's what I would think it is.
But then you flip it around, and that's the cover, and then you're like, what the fuck am I looking at here?
Yeah.
Like
Even then, I don't
comedy.
think that looks. Even then, I don't think it looks like a comedy. But when you take it out and it says like Mindbenders on it, kind of in that like like playful, goofy writing, then you kind of see even like that. It just looks like a sci-fi horror movie.
So who watched this one? Tony, you watched it?
Yeah.
JP
Yeah,
watched it?
I did too.
Wow. I don't
The
even have
only
to
thing,
ask
the
Tyler
only
because
thing
he
I
hasn't watched it
didn't
like
watch,
this.
the only thing I
I don't
didn't
buy
watch
it.
this time was Tyler's movie.
Oh,
Really? That's surprising. I think you would really like this movie.
that's
I
really
really would. I
interesting.
just I ran out of time.
That's
Yeah.
actually really interesting, and actually is kind of funny when we come down to it all. But okay, so
This is the
Mindbenders,
best movie.
Mindbenders. Tony can see right through me. So Mindbenders is basically it's like it's a teen comedy film. It's all set in a high school and stuff like that, and it's kind of set in this like it's kind of set in like this Tromaville type reality. Like it's interesting. It doesn't tell you that it's Canadian, it doesn't tell you it's American. It's kind of just set in this like high school setting with these over the top characters, ridiculousness and stuff like that. So like right away I was getting trauma vibes big time from this, but it's not like it's not filthy and dirty like a trauma film. In fact, this comedy film is actually quite clean. It's very, very clean. It's very goofy. It lives in the realm of like films like Revenge of the Nerds and any type of trauma characters. So like that's the vibe you're going to get with this, but just not filthy, right? It's very weird actually.
That's like the perfect comparison. Like it's literally a PG trauma movie.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, I mean that's there's really no way around it. That's kind of what it is. So basically, it's about like there's a bunch of kids in the school that are just I wouldn't say so much troublemakers. They're just out of control students that don't want to listen. They just kind of they march to the drum of their own the beat of their own drum. And anyways, this principal's had a fuck enough.
It
Like
also
them,
kind of feels like Class of '84, but like PG.
yeah, yeah. Well, just to give you a kind of a reference of how unhinged this movie is, like in its reality and stuff, like the movie starts out with a huge food fight. And the principal walks
It's
in.
like a 3-minute long food fight.
It's fucking crazy how much food is like they destroyed this cafeteria, like for real. I couldn't even imagine how long it took them to clean that up. But anyways, the principal walks in this room, takes a pie to the face, and like he's had it up to here. Like you can tell that this is the last straw. This is the straw that broke the camel's back. Anyways, he calls in this like I guess what you call him kind of like a scientist. He's supposed to be from like big Ivy League school, and they're doing kind of like experiments, not like experiments sound so bad, but like they have like this new kind of method where they can play like these musical tones, and these students basically hear these tones, and what it does, it actually controls them to the point where it calms them down and makes them listen. It kind of
It's like Adderall, but music form.
Yeah, it's like a drug basically, but without giving them drugs, right? So it kind of changes their ADD into like more calm and stuff, and they can. The focus point was for them to learn and kind of move on and stuff. Obviously, not to be annoying either, but they kind of take it one step further after the kids get all calmed and stuff. They start basically testing out this theory that like if you start incorporating some more of these tones and stuff, you can almost like incorporate like different behavior patterns and stuff. And that's what this guy does. He plays these tones and it starts to incorporate these different behavior patterns and stuff, but it kind of goes wrong. And the students end up kind of reacting to it, and they turn like zombies, but then they turn kind of violent and stuff. And it just basically goes the wrong way. So the film follows our two main characters, and they're in this classroom, but there's these two kids that aren't affected by it. And it's so funny because they never once in the film mention why they're not affected, but it's so obvious. Is because they live in their own little world, and they are a part of the radio station that was there. So they listen to music all the time. They actually wear headphones the entire time this shit's going on. So it never affected them because they didn't hear the actual music tones that changed everyone's personalities and stuff. So
and that's like such a fucking sitcom type.
Oh yeah.
Type fucking plot line.
So like after a while, they're watching all their fellow students like start to like be calm and just being like very obedient and like saying weird things, and they're like, what the fuck is going on? Like, why are all these kids
it's like it's the faculty light.
Yeah, right. And then so like one thing leads to another, and they're just like, there's something going on in the school. Like none of this shit makes sense. They close down the radio station, and like everyone's acting all fucking weird and stuff. So they start to investigate, and then they come across that there's kind of a conspiracy in the school and stuff, and they want to reverse it basically. And it has to do with like playing rock and roll music. I like that whole commentary in the film too. Like that was a big thing in the 80s where, a lot of faculty and a lot of parents and stuff would blame music and movies and stuff for their kids their kids' behavior. Kids are acting out and lashing out, not being able to learn properly because they're infatuated and, morbidly obsessed and overcome by, violent movies and crazy music and stuff like that. And it plays right into it. And they basically kind of say that shit like that too. It's pretty funny. So they closed down the radio station, and their idea is to play the rock and roll music to kind of reverse it. That's how kids think, right? I thought the one really interesting thing about the film is I always forget the fucking dude's name. He's the guy from Oz. He's one of the two main characters in the film. What the fuck's that guy's name again?
Lee Tergesen.
Lee Tergesen, yeah. And I kept watching him going, who the fuck is that? And I had to look him up. And I'm like, that's the dude from Oz. Yeah, man.
He always seemed like such a big dude, but he's just like a little shrimp in this movie.
Yeah, and it was his acting debut in the movie. This is the first thing he ever did. And I thought he was really good in the movie, actually. Very effective. But yeah, what you're going to get in this movie is, like I said, it's like a PG-rated trauma type style film, which is kind of disheartening a little bit because, like, with that said, you don't get any sleaze in there. It's very clean. There's no real dirty jokes. There's a lot of really awkward moments. There's a lot of unhinged moments. Like one of the main characters in the film is essentially kind of like the character from Revenge of the Nerds. He's this big dorky rich kid that is on his way to like Harvard and stuff like that, and he's got all the brains and shit, but he's kind of like this over the top Charlie Chaplin character in like a live action, vocal film. Like that's the way he acts. He just kind of reacts to every situation and stuff. And it's just so ridiculous, man. Like I found myself chuckling a few times, but I couldn't help but think that he reminded me of the dude from Revenge of the Nerds, like that one character from Revenge of the Nerds. He even has the same kind of face. But again, it's very PG and stuff. I think this movie probably would have worked a lot better for myself because personally, the comedy that I like is, the dirty Revenge of the Nerds stuff and like the filthy exploitive trauma stuff and shit like that. This one wasn't funny to me. That was the biggest problem for this movie. I really wanted to like it. But in terms of being like a comedy first before anything else, I have to rate it being a comedy before anything else. And for me, it just, I think I'd laughed, kind of chuckled once. And you guys know me. I laugh at everything.
I think I laughed at them, the scene where they were rapping.
Again,
I
that
laughed
plays
at
in
the pie to the face because I'm an idiot and I love a pie to the face gag.
I laugh at everything.
Yeah, like it's funny when it comes to like comedy. Like I can be very, very hard on it, but like I just felt like it wasn't overly funny. But then you learn in the special features like how it was written. It was written super quick, blah blah blah. I'm not trying to say use that as an excuse as to why it wasn't funny. I mean, it's also not really written by people that were generally writing comedies in the first place. So that probably kind of plays into it a little bit. I do think the performances for a lot of the actors being first or second time actors, like this is like the first or second thing that most of these people worked on, actually did pretty good fucking job. It doesn't come across as being super amateurish. I think the performances are for what they are. Like I like this realm of absurd like Tromaville setting and stuff, that reality. I like that. I think they capture that quite well. I think the jokes just kind of missed and stuff. But yeah, as for the actors, I thought everyone did a pretty good job, and there's a lot of, things that kind of went wrong in the end of the filmmaking too, which I'll get to in the features, but you can kind of see where it kind of wraps itself up pretty quick and stuff. And then you get like this character within you get, I think 3-4 seconds at the end of the movie, which is explained away. Cause that was the one thing I was really looking forward to in the special features, to explain why they didn't go into this a little bit more. And they do talk about it, which is kind of cool. So, but yeah, it's just one of those films where it's crazy. The one part that actually made me laugh in the film was how the principal's tripping dicks in this film, and he's talking with like, this scientist and stuff. And all of a sudden he goes back to his office and he's just like, he's almost unhinged as much more than the kids at times too. Like he's in his office and he's literally playing with his little army figures. He's like, "Arr!" And he's like doing all this crazy shit and stuff. And it just reminded me of that teacher it reminded me of the kindergarten teacher from Billy Madison, where the kids are outside playing and she's in there and she's like eating glue and shit, like totally out to lunch. It totally reminded me
The
of shit.
fucking
Like,
He comes
painting.
back.
yeah, and she's like sniffing and he's like all over her face and shit.
She's like sitting there at the table and she's got like the jar of the glue, just like
Yeah.
like
Yes.
It just totally
That shit
reminded
used to creep me out when I was a
Dude,
kid.
so the first time he goes in, she's playing like some like Middle Eastern like stereotypical music, just like
Doing
dancing
some
to, like,
crazy
the song.
interpretive dance.
Yeah.
but that's what it
I'm just gonna
reminded me
sit
of,
down in
like
color.
how unhinged she was in that film. And then like it cuts to him and like he's supposed to be like, he's the principal. He's like in charge. He's not supposed to be unhinged and like off the wall and craziness, right? But then you see him in his office and he's doing all this batshit crazy stuff. And he's so high strung too through the whole film. His character actually was quite funny. Like apparently that guy, he started in a TV series in the late 60s called The Invaders. It was on for a couple seasons. He was like the main actor in that TV series, obviously about aliens, which is kind of ironic, kind of a step in the same direction with Mindbenders, being that it's a comedy slash, kind of alien invasion type film, because there is a motive to what they're doing here. They actually tell you in the film, but so anyways, so I thought he did a really good job in the film too, but it's basically set all in the school. I think there's a couple scenes that are shot outside of like in the apartment and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's a Christmas movie.
And there's a scene in the mall, which is so weird because the girl
It
that's sitting
opens
on
up with a damn snowman.
yeah, and then we get this odd scene of like one of her female characters sitting on Santa's lap, and she's like talking all this crazy shit. And I thought the funniest thing in that scene was the fact that Santa didn't say a word. He just kind of took all that gibberish and didn't say a fucking thing. I was like, that's crazy.
Yeah.
But actually, the one scene where our two main characters, who, not Turgeson, the other guy, he's
I
actually
believe his name is Turd Ferguson.
it's not Turd Ferguson.
Ted Ferguson.
So the other guy in the film that's his best friend or whatever, he's actually one of the writers in the movie. But there's a scene where they're in the mall and they're like they're hitting on these two chicks, and I just thought it was so funny when they busted out the little airplane bottles of whiskey.
Yeah.
Like in the mall, like, hey ladies, you guys want a drink? I'm like, what the fuck? It's so out of left field.
Dump it into their fucking Cokes or whatever.
Yeah, it's so out of left field, but it's funny because they show them kind of finishing up their drinks and then them stumbling out of their car later into their apartment, and they're like all hungover the next day. I'm like, they had one bottle of booze and they're fucking I was like, that's ridiculous.
One bottle is being generous.
Yeah, so yeah, exactly. And oh man, it's ridiculous. But I mean, overall, Mindbenders is not an unwatchable movie. It's probably not going to be for everybody. Like, the way I said, it's kind of set in that Tromaville world. I mean, it could be entertaining. It personally wasn't for me. It's not my type of comedy, so I didn't really enjoy it over that much. I really wanted it to be more on the sci-fi level. The comedy's fine. It doesn't really go where I want it to, unfortunately. But getting into the features, which are not really a whole lot in the movie, to be honest. There's two commentaries. One was with like the Cinematic Void podcast, which I was not going to click on, but there is one with Eugenie Joseph, the director, of course, and Skip Lackey, who is the other main character in the film. Honestly, a lot of the stuff that's in the commentary is actually in the making of. Like, if you want to just skip the 90 minutes of that, just watch the making of. It's the interview with like Skip Lackey, and it actually had brought back quite a few characters. It's kind of shitty they didn't bring back Turgeson, but that sucks. But they had the director was there. David Kerner, I think, was the guy that plays the alien in it and stuff. So they actually did bring back a few people, which is pretty interesting. But they go into talking about like how they made the film and stuff. And apparently, it was one of those movies that had an original script, and it was brought to Eugenie Joseph, and they took one look at the script and they were like, this movie's fucking terrible. So they actually rewrote the whole script. The only thing they kept from the original script was the idea of this little alien. Not going to show it on it, the little alien or this person, right? So that idea of, the whole mind bending thing and stuff, that they kind of kept that, but they totally changed the entire script, which I thought was kind of interesting. So basically, they only had I think there was like a 3-week, they had 20 days to shoot the movie, and they basically had to have it ready, I think, in 10 days or something like that, or 7 days. So, Lackey and Skip Lackey and Joseph, they went into this hotel room in Montreal and just basically busted out this fucking thing within a couple days. They wrote the entire script in a few days and then cast in and did all their shit and stuff. And got this movie together. So like the pre-production on this film was crazy fast because they had to rewrite the script, cast everybody, which I think they did a really good job casting. I thought, like I said before, like I think that, for a lot of the first timers did a really good job in this. It doesn't come across as being like super, super indie. It looks good. And you can tell that she has a little bit of a background in editing too, because the editing is actually not bad in the film. There's a lot of like cheesy effects and stuff which they talk about and stuff. Like, they try to do these certain things. There's this one really goofy effect where she was kind of freaking out about. She wasn't sure if it was a really good idea, but to light this stunt person's hair on fire. But I guess it went fine and stuff. And like, but shit like that probably could turn out bad considering you're setting
How
fire
could that
to
even
someone's
go
head.
fine? Your hair like
Right.
burns up instantly.
Yeah, what they did is they actually just put a full blown huge different wig on this person and they sprayed it with hairspray and fucking lit it on fire.
Crazy.
That was the
is
stunt.
crazy.
So like a lot they said there were certain scenes in the film where some of the extras and stuff did their own stunts and shit, but like they choreographed like the fight scene in the gym with the unhinged basketball scene and stuff like that where people are getting thrown around and shit, and it's really them like throwing each other around and like jumping on each other and shit and stuff. It's not crazy stunt heavy or nothing, but they did what they could with what they had and stuff. But yeah, going into like the end of the movie, it was kind of unfortunate because there was a huge storm that rolled through Montreal, and on day 18, and the main producer of the film said, "Yo," he's like, "You guys got to wrap it up, man. We need to because it's coming through. Shit's gonna get all fucked up and stuff." So what they did is they went in there and they scrapped like 20 pages of script, all the shit that they were gonna shoot in the last couple days, and very pretty much condensed everything down. That's why there's like scenes where they're running the hallways with very very low lighting and stuff because they basically just went in the hallways and they were like moving lights around and stuff. They couldn't set up any of the scenes. They just went and shot all the shit that they needed to like, basically create an ending to the film. So there was more with the alien character at the end, which they all had to scrap, but it was actually due partially to timing, but mostly because they actually ran out of money. So they ended up they weren't able to like expand the whole character. They had him beaming up and doing this all. There was a whole fucking end part with the alien, which they never got to do. And it really shows when you watch this indie film, you're like, you kind of a build up to that, and then you don't get that. So it's unfortunate we didn't get that and stuff. So, but as for the other features, there's like I said, 2 commentaries. That making of documentaries 37 minutes, and it does give you like a lot of insight into the movie and stuff. I thought that she did a really good job, very well spoken in the interview, and it was kind of cool to have as many people as they had come back for these are not archival interviews. These are actually interviews that they did for this, which is really interesting. But it would have been nice to see Lee Tergesen come back, but of course, he's too big of a name, I guess, but whatever. But yeah, Mindbenders, overall, it's a nice looking release, but going back to what I said earlier about the VSA line kind of losing their way a little bit with Mindbenders and Dial D for Demons, like I haven't disliked a lot of the range, the first 50, and in fact, I've watched probably, I think maybe there's like 3 or 4 I haven't watched yet. And a couple of the recent ones, I know I didn't watch that. I think the one that JP watched, the Asian War one or whatever it was.
Firefighter. It was Lifeline.
Yeah,
Firefighter,
that's what it was, the firefighter one. So I haven't watched that one yet, but I've watched because when these were coming out a few years back, I was watching them as they were coming. I was trying to keep up with them. I did a pretty good job, but I just feel like the last couple have kind of lost their way in the range and stuff. Like I could see, the point of these being like, very video store type titles and stuff, but I just think the content is, it's not really the greatest. But Mindbenders for myself, I give it 4 out of 10. I wasn't a big fan of it, to be honest. So unfortunately, so far in the show,
I
it's
gave
0 for 2
I
for
gave
me.
it a 5 out of 10 as well.
Give it 5, really? Wow, I'm surprised.
Isn't that what you just said? 5?
Well, I said 4,
Oh, wow. I gave it a 5.
so I have a 3 and a 4.
Yeah, not a good month for you so far.
No, not at all. Yeah, so that's it for that. Tyler, you're up next.
All right. So for myself this month, from plain old Vincent themselves, we have the 4K of Corpse Mania, directed by, he's got a crazy name, Shi Hung Kuei, probably best known for his film The Boxer's Omen, which is pretty fucking wild. He made that.
Didn't we review that?
Yeah, The
Yes.
Boxer's Omen is so
Yeah.
unhinged. Like that movie is amazing.
He made this some at the beginning of the decade, and he made Boxer's Omen towards the end. So maybe I'm wrong on that, but he made the Boxer's Omen after this. But anyways, yeah. So that's the director. I've also seen another film from him called Hex that I know is the film he made before this.
Great
So
film. Great film.
yeah, he works for Shaw Brothers for all the way from the mid 60s up through like the early mid 80s. But he was never really one of like their more like star directors. He actually had like kind of like scrap like for the extras and like downstage time and all that stuff. But this film kind of represents a time he was coming a bit into the more of his own. It's a short watch. It's a pretty simple story. It starts off, we get this little sequence of these women across the street watching their new neighbors moving into the building across the street, moving in like this like lifeless body, what they assume is like a very sick person, into some basement, and you see someone dressed in this outfit that's like it's significant as relevant to the rest of the film. This is blue like robe with this white handkerchief over his face and black sunglasses, kind of like the Chinese Invisible Man, if you will. Uh, and then you just kind of like just hear these women gossip for a little bit, and then all the women in this little neighborhood all just started saying, "Hey, do you smell something from this on the side of the street over here?" And all the women were kind of like, "Yeah, this is disgusting," and they realize it's coming from the house with the new neighbors who've now been there a week, and they've never seen like come out for anything, and they just assume the building they brought in was sick, so they call the cops. And the cops break the lock and they find a rotting corpse with all these nasty mealworms and stuff on it. And that kind of brings us right into the plot of our film. So the film is basically about uh, some killings at a brothel, involved from a necrophiliac. It's or a necrophiliac lead to be responsible for the killings. And it's kind of an interesting structured film. From there out, from that first scene, it takes us a little bit further. Takes us right to the police where they're kind of discussing what they found, and you hear them say that the body has been violated. So now they know like necrophilia is involved, and they recall a case similar to that in a different city about a year earlier. And they look into that, and that's when they kind of bring us. We actually go. They don't really tell you, but you figure it out as it goes on that they actually like kind of set up a separate timeline, and you go back to a year ago, where this man's going to this other brothel. I forgot the brothel's name, but Madame Lam is the caretaker of the brothel. She runs it, and you see the same man that you saw previously in the same like handkerchief, like Invisible Man outfit, and he's coming there. I guess you start to realize he's a young, like regular customer, and there's a very like special like prostitute they have there, Miss Mai, that this man is in love with, and she's very sick, and he goes there to buy her freedom. And so you see this little, and it paints him like as like a sympathetic like good guy. I think that's what they definitely want you to establish here. So he pays for the he goes to Madame Lan's brothel and pays for her freedom. Then you go, and then it just transitions. This movie just keeps moving. It actually doesn't kind of explain a lot of it, so I can see where people might get confused in this, but it just keeps moving. And then you learn he makes that woman his wife, and he's basically with her till her dying breath. And like they know she's gonna die, like they know she's terminal. He's just like basically there to like take her away from that life and like save her from her freedom. And then you get this like as it just keeps moving, and you get this guy that's like a peeper that's like peeping into their house, and then he starts to discover that the like peeping through the peepholes, all this weird shit he's seeing with the wife Miss Mai that appears to have now like passed on or appears lifeless, and the guy keeps peeping more and more, and then he starts to see again, like we saw earlier, a corpse covered in all the mealworms and all like that nasty stuff. And he sees our character. His name is Lee Zengun, I believe. It's a crazy looking name, but Lee Zeng, I believe was his name. He sees Lee with the woman, and he sees him having sexual intercourse with her, and he obviously then like you find out, well, that guy went and told on him because he's just like and said, I saw the craziest shit, and you see him get arrested. You said Lee get arrested and go to a mental hospital, and it kind of like zooms out of there, and you realize like you're reading about the case a year prior at the police station. So that kind of like introduces you to the character, and now they suspect that it's the same person. So they go to the other town. I believe the town name was like Hoshin or Foshin to see Madame Lon's brothel. And one thing that kind of struck me about this is for as short as this is, this film, like its first half is more of like an investigative movie. It's actually like a little bit more action light than I would have expected from the Shaw Brothers movie. I've seen a lot more martial arts Shaw Brothers films than I've seen Shaw Brothers horror films, so maybe I'm just not as my expectations are a
Well, I
little bit
think
off.
I think they were trying to do like a Giallo style film. That's why I think it's
Yeah,
pretty interesting you're doing this one during this month because it's like a Hong Kong Giallo film. And I mean, I feel like it has the construction of one and it's even shot and it's lit like one too.
yeah, the lighting is one of the big standouts. If you've seen like any of those other films I talked about from this director, really like most like Hong Kong horror, I mean not Hong Kong horror, Shaw Brothers horror, at least from what I've seen, it has that like really like cool like neon lighting
Yeah.
that you're accustomed to
Yeah, the
back.
blue hues in this are like super
Yeah,
beautiful, man. Yeah, they pop
that
like
stuff
hell.
that stuff looks great.
Even the night photography, like just on 4K, just the deep
Yeah,
blacks, like in the night scenes, are just so nice to look at.
yeah,
Mhm.
the photography is really. I'll get into like that's. I have actually have some info on that when we get to the special features. But yeah, so and then so it brings us back to this other town at this brothel, and then you start to learn about like girls that aren't there, and then you be leading to like some of the bodies they actually but before they go back, they went to like this like same like ancestral house where this Lee guy that they found out has now like gotten out of mental hospital a month ago, and they find another body, like another corpse there. Um, so they go to that's when they go to like the other town where uh incident had occurred before, and they talk to Madame Lam at her brothel, and you find out that she has had like some of her girls are now missing, and lining up with the photos, you find out like those are the same girls. And from there, it kind of you just follow the police investigation. We're already like almost like halfway through the movie at this point, and the back like third of the movie kind of becomes almost like a slasher, and the intensity like really picks up. It's funny you like say the Giallo the you bring up the Giallo point because a lot of the kills kind of did look Giallo-esque in this too, even though there's like not a lot. They're more like concentrated in the back half. But they go for that like
Well,
really like bright Giallo red blood. I thought was a good choice too.
I think that like this movie is directly influenced by Blood and Black Lace.
That
Not
was
only does
something
the
that they were
killer,
talking about in the special
okay,
features.
well there you go. I didn't watch special features, but if you look at the killer in Blood and Black Lace looks like the Invisible Man.
Yeah.
And it's shot from the fourth wall, like it's not POV.
Mhm.
And the what you see in this one's very similar, but even the lighting, I mean, it's different color schemes, but it's very similar. Like I feel like that was a direct influence for
Mhm.
this film. And with all the twists and turns, because this one kind of, in the last like 15 minutes gives you what, like three twists? It's kind of
There's
crazy.
more plot in like the last 15 minutes than like the rest of the movie.
But it does exactly what Blood and Black Lace does because there's a twist and then there's a twist and then there's like, and there's another reveal. Like it just keeps going on and on and on.
Yeah, I felt like the maybe this is where like the slasher and it comes out from too. The ending to me kind of felt like a Scooby-Doo ending reveal where they're like, "It was you. What did you do?" And then like they just like go through the whole like explanation and like gives them like the classic,
If
and I would have
Scooby-Doo had
gotten
an
away with it.
if Scooby-Doo had an amazing dummy death.
Oh my God! Oh yeah, this movie had a great dummy death. This is one of, like the
Fuck.
best. This is one of the best dummy deaths you'll ever see.
It is so grotesque too. Like, what
I
the fuck?
laughed. I had
It's
to
so
pause. I was
it's so
laughing so
unhinged, man.
hard.
You're just like, what the
I
fuck?
laughed so hard at this dummy death. Oh
Me
my
too, man.
God.
I've seen this movie a couple times and I forgot how good that one was. I was like, oh my God.
Yeah, it's this movie's got a fantastic dummy death. But yeah, it's really a pretty simple plot. There's not like a whole lot. I already like gave a ton away just even what I said. Uh, like
Well, you literally
movies.
just admitted that you gave half the movie away.
Yeah, it's just like that's like it has a simple plot. It's more about just like the journey, and then yeah, just really like how just the reveal.
Yeah.
But it's also it's a short movie. It's 82 minutes. It's if you've seen Shaw Brothers films before, it's pretty in line with what you'd expect. I've definitely seen some better Shaw Brothers films, but this is like far from like the bottom or like the bottom half of Shaw Brothers films I've seen. I haven't seen a ton of Shaw Brothers horror films, I guess though, but yeah, this was pretty good. It's shot great. The acting is yeah, it's your Shaw Brothers acting. It's fun. It's fine. There's nothing superior about it, but it's good for what it is. It's got a lot of familiar faces in it. I don't know like any of these people names, but it's like the same people you recognize in like a ton of movies. And yeah, this is a pretty easy watch. It's something I definitely recommend if Shaw Brother films are something you enjoy. It's super in line with that. Special feature wise. It's got two commentaries. One of them is by, I believe, like the same thing. I think it said it was from like YouTubers or oh no, it wasn't that impressive when I looked over it. Who's the commentary by? Oh, here we go. Oh yeah, film or yeah, the son of the director in a commentary of the film historian. I'm not like a YouTuber, but yeah, I didn't listen to the commentaries because I only really listen to commentaries on movies that like I watch a ton. But I would definitely go with the one with the son if I was going to pick. As far as the other features, you really have four. One of them's an interview with a producer. It's only like 4 minutes long. It's kind of basically a nothing feature. But the other three are pretty solid. There's one called Shi Hung Kwei, Shaw Brothers Master of Horror, there's the director of this film, where it's a video essay and it kind of just does like a rundown of actually like all his films in chronological order. And that's where I got that information about how he was not really one of like their like top directors or anything, and he often like had to like use his ingenuity and like kind of like fight for even like not only like just material like do effects but sound stage space like all that type of stuff, but it gives you get to see like all his movies in chronological order, just hear a little bit about it, see the clips. You can none of like that material is really restored, so you can it's a good comparison where like you get to see like how like nice something like this looks in comparison to what it used to look like. Definitely, because the rest like as the restoration you don't need like anyone to tell you like how good the restoration of these are. They're always incredible. Like so that's really like your sell with Vinegar Syndrome and films like this. The film looks great. After that, there is a 7 minute interview with the cinematographer, which was also a pretty good one. He talked a lot about as like kind of like goofy and somewhat unserious as these movies are. This cinematographer seemed to work a lot with this director, and he said he was like very serious, like with filmmaking, and like all he did was like felt like that was his life. Like he ate and drank filmmaking. That's like all he did. And a lot of things that they would do together is they were really interested in like just focusing on getting good at like atmosphere, and they just like watched movies for their atmosphere like every bit they could. And they just do that together and just study like how these films create the atmosphere. Like some of the films like they watched like for this movie, like in preparation were The Exorcist and The Shining. They're just watching it to like so like why is the atmosphere in this movie so good? And they would just get that's the kind of thing they would look for if they could get their hands on anything. Well, it seemed like they had a really good relationship together, and he really enjoyed working with him. That was a seven. That's only like a 7 minute interview, so but you kind of get a lot for the 7 minutes you're in with him. He talked too about some. They kind of innovated a lot of things early on with these like special bulbs they would get, and really early in the game before they were popular in the market, they were using LED bulbs to get that like kind of like bioluminescent look that prominent in a lot of Shaw Brothers movies. And now that I think about it, the movies that all come to mind with that look are all directed by this director. So I don't know if it's necessarily a Shaw Brothers thing or a him thing. But the real, my favorite feature for sure is the one. There's a 17-minute interview with his son, and that was actually a really cool one to listen to. He basically grew up on the Shaw sets, and he had a lot of like cool stories and experiences of him just being a kid, like literally like running around like on the Shaw Brothers sets between movies and like actors he was like used to seeing. I guess like a lot of like a lot of the cast in these movies weren't really like the choice of the directors. It was just people who work for the studio and they got assigned who they got assigned. But they did have like actors that like, oh, well, this person always works with this director. Like these group of people always work with this director just because they had success in like working relationships together. But he had some really cool stories about just like being with other people's kids too, just like running around describing like what the studios looked like. He'd be like, well, yeah, and you stayed in this site. Then you went off to this site that had all these like big palaces and like all these gardens for all of these big like big dynasty movies. And then you went further up this hill and you had these like all these big battlefields that were only for like the Wuxia films. It was just like it was really cool to like hear about like just like the perspective of like Shaw Studios, like through the eyes of like or the memory of this guy like when he was like 8 years old like running around like watching his dad make movies. So that was really cool. I would definitely if I was gonna watch a commentary, like I would definitely watch that one featuring him. Because he seems to like have a decent memory with his stuff too. And he's a producer himself today, but I guess like mostly in China. But one US title I recognized that his son had
Why'd you
produced
say
and
China
was
like Donald Trump?
China. China. It comes from China. But the only title I recognized that it showed was of American films he produced on was the Meg 2. So I guess that's his big achievement.
But
But
that's a half Chinese, isn't it, technically?
Yeah.
I've never seen it, so I don't know. But that was
Yeah, I
like
think
they were
they're
like
Yeah, I think those movies were really big in China.
yeah, he said like he when he was talking about what he did, he said like yeah, I'm a producer, mostly Chinese films, some American films, and like some titles on the bottom popped up, and like that was the big one, like Meg 2.
Hmm.
But that was a cool. It was a cool interview. It's a pretty cool. It's a pretty cool release. The art on it's great. It's really like it's a pretty much exactly what I expected from a Shaw Brothers movie. I wish there was maybe a little bit more violence or kills in it, but it's a short film and you do get some good sequences like that. For a movie about a necrophiliac serial killer, I kind of thought there would be more necrophilia. There were like some kind of
Yeah,
great shots of
but the narrative explains that away though, like when we get the reveals and shit like that too.
I just think going into it, I thought there'd be more necrophilia.
Yeah, I mean it states its grounds there, but then it goes into kind of a different place. But
Uh,
I mean,
it's something his son had said too in the interview is he felt like this was like his film, like in between where he had he had kind of begun with his like Hitchcockian influence. Then like the film before this or before that, one of his films early before that, he kind of that was the first time he really like learned how to do like gross shit. And like this movie was kind of this transitional film between getting away from like Hitchcock type movies to like getting into shit like the Boxer's Omen, where he's just doing like gross shit or like a vague resemblance of the
but
plot.
I mean, he had done stuff before that was pretty cool, man. Like he was responsible for doing Shi Shi Xiao, like the Killer Snakes. That's a joke if you ever watch me and Dylan's marathon. I don't remember which one it was, but we watched Killer Snakes, which is directed by this guy, and we just couldn't
Yeah.
stop saying "she she xiao" because it flows so fucking well, man. But yeah, that's from '74, man. Like he's actually done a lot of really good ones. I haven't seen Spirit of the Raped. That sounds pretty interesting.
Yeah,
That's
I
from
looked at
'76.
like when they had said like in that feature that he wasn't like one of the more prominent directors. I looked it up. I wasn't expecting him to have as many movies as he had, or like even just watching the thing, like how many movies he actually had.
Yeah, well, it seemed like he was doing a couple each year, and he wasn't that prominent, whatever. But like, come '80, he did, of course, Hex, which is fantastic, and the '81 Corpse Mania, Bewitched in '81, which is another good one.
Yeah, Bewitched was I think the one he was talking about that was like a big deal for him and like getting him like some respect. That and Hex were like kind of like
Yeah,
big deals.
he went batshit though from like '81 to '83 with Corpse Mania, Bewitched, and I haven't seen Curse of Evil, but it's probably probably good. And then The
Yeah.
Boxer's Omen, which is pretty much his last movie. But
He did start in the mid '60s, I think his son said. I think his son said he started in '65 or '66. He couldn't remember
yeah,
exactly,
there's a
but
film in '63, and then it kind of jumps like he's basically a '70s director. He
yeah,
only
it
did
was
one thing in the
before
'60s.
he started working there before he was born. And there was
Yeah.
like some period of time, maybe that's like if there's a block in his filmography that seems like gone. He went to Japan when his son was really young for a few years and like learned like filmmaking techniques there. And I guess that's what a lot of directors at Chat Studios did, that they like went and like studied in Japan for a couple of years.
I have this other movie, Killer Constable. I just haven't watched it. I know it's part of the '88 line, but the guy's getting lots of love with his movies, anyways. So
Yeah, but I've liked all his movies so far. This is pretty solid. Like I said, definitely seen better Shaw Brothers films, but this is pretty satisfying. I think pretty much anyone who likes Shaw Brothers movies will at least think this is good.
it's good.
Um, yeah, I'd give this one a 7 out of 10.
Cool. I give it an 8, but that's me.
Yeah, I
I've
think
seen it a
I'm
couple
in an
times.
8 range too.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, watching this song on 4K was like, what the fuck, man? Because I have like the old Image DVD, and I was like, damn, dude, like this thing pops, man.
It looks insane in
Insane,
4K.
dude. Insane. And the reason why I had that comparison to Blood and Black Lace because of like, obviously the way it's shot and like the way the killer is and stuff, but like I just watched Blood and Black Lace again. And
Yeah.
I couldn't help but like there was just so much similarity in there. It's just crazy, dude. So similar. I'm surprised that wasn't one of the movies they talked about in the features. That's crazy. But whatever. All right, Tony.
All right. So now we're going to talk about the newest slasher that Vinegar Syndrome has rescued. It is 1982's The Ghost Dance, directed by Peter Buffa, who has not done anything besides that. It is starring Julie Amato, who, after this movie, was most famous for doing a couple Leisure Suit Larry video games.
Really? Wow.
Cool.
Yeah, like literally the next two
Like
credits
on
after
like
this or
fucking
that.
Sega CD or something.
What is like
Yeah,
the
like
voice
computer
voice
PC.
work? Voice work?
Had to have been. But how
Yeah.
random is that?
Yeah.
But yeah, this movie is centered around like an archaeological dig in Arizona. And like basically like this anthropology project is digging up this Native American tribe, like this mass burial. And unbeknownst to them, they exhume the corpse of like this old like Native American cult leader called Nahala,
Mulholland
who
Drive.
Nahalan Drive, who was basically famous locally for like human sacrifice, like taking the guts out of kids and all this other goofy shit. But before they realize what they're doing and what they've uncovered, there's this disgraced local like Indian guy who at night goes in and steals like a piece of his corpse. I can't remember if he steals like a corpse or just like something out of the grave. But he takes it back and does this voodoo Native American ritual and basically gets he gets possessed by Nahala and he sets off to kill the archaeological diggers. But is he killing them because they dug up his shit or does he have other motives? Stay tuned.
Yep.
All right. So one thing I really like about this movie is that
It's set in
kind of like,
Arizona.
well, set in Arizona is cool. Like I do like desert set slasher movies because it kind of reminds me of like Death Valley because it's kind of hard to hide in like plain sight. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? Like that's like probably the scariest thing about the desert to me.
Yeah.
But I also like that this is a movie that's pretty much centered around adults because around that time, like pretty much 90% of every slasher movie is centered around teens. So like movies like this and My Bloody Valentine, The Slayer, Visiting Hours, like they have this nice little like flavor to them that I really like. And I do really like the final girl too, Kay. Like she's beautiful, but she's also got like like a commanding presence to her. Like you'd really like buy into what she's selling. She's doing a really good job acting too. Let's see. Yeah, I'll talk about the VHS too before I get into it. Like this was a movie that before this Blu-ray was literally almost impossible to see, like probably 75% of what was going on. Like there's this guy who gets killed at the beginning by getting bit by a snake, and then he like falls back and gets impaled like on a spike. Like growing up, and I've seen this movie like a couple times before this. I didn't even know a person died at the beginning. Like you
Don't
just
you
hear
love
like
that when you get those like new transfers of like something that you've only seen on a shitty grainy VHS? Like what was that? Drive-In Massacre and shit.
oh yeah, Drive-In Massacre was one of the worst.
Fuck, I was muted again. I just said Drive-In Massacre. Fuck.
Yeah.
Because I talked about Drive-In Massacre, like that decapitation at the beginning. Never knew that even happened.
Yeah, that's like Boggy Creek. Like it always looked like straight ass, and like it.
Yeah.
I always like loved it, but I was like, I don't know, I can't see things.
But yeah, now with like this good transfer, like you really do get to see like this is a really well shot movie, like really
Yeah, it
like
actually
professionally
is.
shot.
It really makes it go from sort of like this, like what you think is just trash, super low budget bullshit, to like, holy shit, this is a real movie.
Yeah, and like there's some really good like awesome power shots in this movie that I was really surprised by. Like there's this one scene where the final girl is like crouched on the ground, and when she stands up, the camera like moves up with her, and the killer's just like standing behind her. And behind him is like this giant vulture with like its wings spread out. So it almost looks like the killer just looks like this angel of death just like looming over her. It's like really cool. And there's a lot of good like atmospheric shots in this too. And the fact that it's like mostly dark didn't help the whole VHS in the first place. But there's also this one scene which obviously back then you really couldn't see it all, but now like I'm in love with it. There's this scene where Kay, our main character, is like driving down the road, and the only lights you see are her headlights and her taillights. And she like comes to a complete dead stop in the middle of the road. And right in the middle of the road is our killer, Nahala, just standing there with his arms crossed. And it's
Yeah.
so creepy. And then the best part about it is she like backs up and then goes around him. And as she's going around, the camera changes to shoot the car from the front to the back. And he has changed, and all you see is him in the red taillights this time, just fading into the darkness as she's driving by. And I thought that that was just like the creepiest thing. And then after that, as she keeps driving down the road, you keep seeing like images of him keep flashing up behind the car. Like it's really cool. Oh, and also it's really sweet too because this movie was shot in 1980, and I don't really know like how many supernatural slashers were even out around this time. You know what I mean? Like demonic possession slashers. Like were those really even a thing in 1980?
No.
I'd have to
Like
look at
I
it. Like I'd have to think that, but there was some. Yeah, there was not that many for sure.
Yeah, I thought that was really cool. Like it seems like a really early supernatural slasher in that aspect.
Mhm.
Um, and going back to the whole possession thing, there's a couple really like goofy kills in this movie. Well, just one goofy kill where the killer possesses a dog and he like mauls a chick to death. But then there's another scene where the killer possesses like the final girl's cat. And there's this scene where like this cat is just going through this apartment, just watching her like undress and shower and all this other shit. And it's just the backdrop is just atmospheric horror music, and you're just watching this cute little cat watching this woman
Yeah,
take a shower.
yeah.
Like I'm sure it was supposed to be scary, but it was definitely not. Like they should just went the old route and just done a projectile cat jump scare. Another thing that could be a problem with this movie for some people are that the kills are front loaded and back loaded. There's probably like a 50
Yeah.
minute to an hour stretch in this movie where not much happens. It's literally just the world building up like at that. And this movie really could have benefited from like another like 2 or 3 kills in that time span.
Yeah.
The fact that
Yeah,
it came
it's
out in 1982 didn't do it any like favors at all.
yeah. You got quite higher body counts by then.
Yeah, the body count in this movie is really low. I feel like what
Honestly,
is,
the body count's not that bad. I counted 10.
Oh wow.
but like there's
Yeah, that sounds good.
is there 10 in this really?
Yeah.
I would imagine
Oh,
average has to be
I guess
like
towards the
five
end,
or
like
six, right?
yeah, there's a lot in the last what like 20 minutes of the film.
What would you say
Yeah, like
average is?
Average kills per
Like,
slasher,
yeah,
I
like
would
six.
probably
say
about like
probably like
8 to 10.
yeah, I'd probably say 10,
Oh
honestly.
wow.
Yeah, but I think when they're, when they're paced out properly, it's just a little bit more effective. When you have a bunch at one time, like for me right now,
Yeah.
I'm forgetting that they were so bunched up. It feels like one or two, but it could have been six or seven. But like a lot of
Yeah.
the kills in the film are not, they're not high grade kills either. And there's a couple that are off screen too, right? When I remember, like I
Um,
feel like they're not fully on screen. Like it's definitely not gory. This movie doesn't really have any gore to it.
oh, there's only one off-screen death, and it's like the final stinger death. Like everything else you see on screen. But you're right, like the kills aren't very, they're not gory because it
Well,
did
you
come
have
out early.
the
Yeah.
one impalement at the beginning in like the art place.
Yeah, so
That one
there's a
stands
scene where
out.
she gets impaled, and that reminded me of Silent Night, Deadly Night, because he's like
Same.
slowly like pushing her towards the
Yeah, yeah.
spear, kind of like the
Yeah.
antlers. But yeah, that scene was cool because
I think that's probably the
and
most graphic one on the
Hmm.
in the film, really.
yeah,
The
probably
spear.
because
Yeah.
the guy that she was with, he gets like thrown through a metal cabinet and then stabbed with like a shard,
Yeah.
which I thought that was pretty cool. That was just a good scene altogether because they're working at that museum and they're just there overnight fucking in like the like a buggy or whatever.
Hmm.
Like that scene right there felt the most traditional slasher out of any scene in the entire movie.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And if we could have had like another one, maybe two of those scenes, and this could have been like honestly kind of a special movie. Let's see. I'll get into a couple more things. I did really like the killer of the movie. I thought he was really creepy. Like when I first saw the movie as a kid and the VHS transfer was so bad, I didn't even know that that was his real face. Like I thought it was like a dude that was
Somebody wearing a
dressed like
mask.
a Native American going around killing
That's
people.
as bad as my Friday the 13th part 5. I always thought that Jason was wearing a human mask at the end.
No, that's not as bad as that. Like, get the fuck out of here.
No, dude, that's like that's not even that crazy of a thought. Like
The
think
hell are
about
you
it.
talking about? What the
What
fuck?
do
He
you
thought
mean,
Jason
dude?
was wearing a Roy mask under his
Yeah,
other
yeah, like
mask.
Oh,
so
yeah,
at the
like it
end
was
of
like a
Friday
double
5,
mask.
I was like, I remember being a kid and being like, I was like, Jason's getting smart. That's clever. Thinking like he just had a human mask on that he bought in like a Halloween
I think
shop
that's
or
just the product
something.
of you being super confused on what was happening in the film because fuck.
Well, fuck, dude. When I was a kid, like I had no fucking clue dude, for years I didn't even know that was the ambulance guy.
He probably just had no idea that that was even an option, that
Yeah,
it
I
could have
did.
been
That's what it
anybody but
was. I just,
Jason.
yeah, it's like it can't, like, I never even considered that it would be someone else.
Did you just like have that revelation one day while you were watching it? You would go,
Yeah,
shit,
when I
that's
was like
the
18.
What
I'm
the
serious,
fuck?
dude. I
Dude.
for my whole life, I did not know that was. I probably didn't even know until I got on the internet and people bitched about it because I was always a massive fan
But
of
that was
part
a big
5.
thing after like for years at that film. It was like it was the fake Jason movie.
Yeah, but I didn't know that.
I kind of have a movie like that too, where like I thought something else happened, so I was too stoned when I watched it, and I loved it so much, and then I showed it to my brother, and I still love it, but like I showed it to my brother like a couple of months later, and I was like, "Oh, that's not what happened."
What is it?
It's actually the movie Sisters. The first time I saw it, when they did the review at the end, I thought like the
Are you talking about
reporter.
De Palma?
Yeah, I thought the reporter like was her twin. Not that her twin died, but like her reporter was like the other twin, and like the fear of it like made them forget like that like who they were. And I thought like they had found their way back to each other, and I thought that like blew my mind. Then I showed it to my brother like 2 months later. I was like, oh, I'm fucking stupid. I was too
Yeah,
stoned when
you're
I
a
saw
fucking
this.
idiot,
Wow, dude, that's fucked.
Wow. Did watching the movie like even add up to that little theory at all? Like, did
No,
anything
not at
like even
all. I didn't
support
care.
that?
Yeah,
No,
that's what I was like. That's fucked, dude.
not
Like
at
that doesn't even
all.
make
I didn't even
sense.
care. It was just like that was like I was just like it was at a time where I just like was not like anywhere like near as like observant and like analyzing movies or whatever. So it just like it was something that just like blew my mind. I was just like I was way more okay with movies then, like not making any sense at all, as long
dude.
as something cool happened.
What a
I mean, that's just
dumbass.
pretty much me, anyways. Like all the time,
What a
Depends
as
on
long
the
as I'm
dumbass.
movie.
entertained.
Yeah, it depends on the movie. Like you can't like have a movie that wants me to take it seriously the whole time and be like, guess what? It doesn't make any sense.
Chicken butt.
It's the greatest joke ever
Oh
written.
fuck. I'm sure that's probably happened to me once, but I can't think of an example right
Yeah.
now.
Yeah. Well, so Ghost Dance, it's to me it's a solid slasher movie. Now that you can actually see it, like it's it's worth buying if you're a slasher fan. Like the atmosphere is really good. It's well shot. It's a little slow. There's decent enough kills. The problem with the movie is that it was shot in 80 and was released in 82, and by that time people wanted gore and tits and all this other shit. So people
Hmm.
didn't see it and it was just pretty much just forgotten about. But the killer's cool. He is basically just a Native American version of Michael Myers. He's just a tall, like hawking dude that's just stalking around. The movie's
Yeah.
basically like a mix between like Halloween and Poltergeist too, if you really want to think about it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I really liked it. I would give it a 7.5.
Yeah, I also really enjoyed it. I thought it was like just one of those, you always hear about like I had never seen it before, but I was like familiar with it. And it was just one of those movies that I would see pop up on lists all the time of like movies that I want released type thing. And I didn't really expect much out of it, and I was pretty surprised. I was like, man, this is fun. And I think the most like surprising thing to me was like, did it look like a real competent movie?
Mm-hmm.
You didn't
And
watch
there
it for
was
82?
For what? 82? No,
Yeah,
probably not.
crazy. Yeah, because I mean, it's on YouTube. I'd seen it
Yeah.
before, and I mean, yeah, I mean, it's the YouTube transfer, obviously VHS was pretty shit.
Yeah, this
you
is
should check
like
it
this
out
is
just for shits and gigs.
when you talk about like why we like love this company, right? Why we created a whole podcast. I just got a cold chill. Why we created a whole podcast on like this stuff. It's like stuff like this that is just like saved from, obscurity and just not existing. The archival aspect of Vinegar Syndrome. I think stuff like this is like their God's work type shit.
I really like
Hmm.
I like the premise of the film. I like the whole supernatural kind of possession element to the film and stuff. I do feel at times like the killer has its moments where he feels like he's scary and menacing, but there is moments where I feel like it could be amped up a little bit more. I think the thing that brings it down for me is just the pacing is so it's so skewed, right? It's so you like you said, it's top and bottom heavy for sure. To the point where it's like, shit, dude, I didn't realize there was that many kills in the end of the film. But yeah, they're so lumped in. I think if you pace that out a little bit more, but I do agree though, like the setting of the movie is awesome, and bringing up Death Valley, that's a good example of a film that it is scary. Like when you're in
You
an
talking
open,
about the Peter Billingsley movie?
yeah.
Hmm.
So
Yeah, I
like
like that one a lot.
and you're right, like the desert is a scary place because there is nowhere to hide. There is nowhere to go, right? You feel all like you're just alone out there, man. And if there's something lurking out there, man, it's a scary idea, especially when it's like kind of inhuman too, right? It's pretty cool. But yeah, I think one of the biggest things for me is just the pacing and just just the lack of this movie would have really benefited if if they took those kills, like spread it out, but just amped up the kills a little bit for myself. Like I
Hmm.
think this has so much potential to be just vicious because it's a supernatural, like this guy was already vicious, right? Like it should be vicious. Like it should be really, really over the
Yeah, I
top.
want to see some tomahawk
All right.
and bow and arrow kills
Well, yeah.
through the eyeball.
Right. Like
they show flashback scenes of him literally pulling guts out of a child. So you know the dude's like fucking hardcore.
right. And that's kind of my point. That's my point too. It's like
Yeah.
when you have this already in the character, when you become this part of it, it should be really brutal. And like I think this movie has so much potential to be so fucking good. And you know, its competency is totally there. It's a well done film for a first time filmmaker, pretty much. Like I think it's very, very well done. I think your stance on the lead is a little bit different than mine. I think that she is a little bit bland. Like she is a strong character, but I think she comes off as being, she's not unlikable. I don't think she's overly likable. Like she's just kind of like there. She's existing as the main character for myself. I still want to root for her, but like at the same time, like there is a bunch of characters in this film. I'm just like, they're so medium, right? You know what I mean? Like no one really sticks out as like, oh man, I want to root for fucking, you know, Charlie over here and shit. Like, I don't know. It is what it is. They kind of just exist in the realm. But I think that there's so much potential here. But seeing it with this transfer though, holy shit balls. Again, this is why we love you know, these preservations, because, you know, for me and Tony had seen this film before and not being able to see it. Literally. Now that you get to actually visually see shit is crazy, dude. Like, this is why I think it's so amazing that, you know, we're getting the privilege of rewatching these films that we didn't really get to see fully before. And,
yeah,
you know,
I know when they
so crazy.
this this batch of titles for this month, I pretty much, like, out of everything that they announced, I was most excited for this one just because it had sort of like a, like I said, notorious, like never been released properly type movie slasher. And slashers always, like slashers that haven't been released always get like a lot of attention.
I think it's like,
Yeah.
you know, along with like Western horror films, there's a few kind of like alienated almost like subgenres of like slasher films and horror films in general. I think that there could be more Western horror films. I would love to see a Western slasher film, which I think there's only like a couple of those. I know there's a couple of really bad indie films that are Western slasher films, but this is always one area of, you know, horror films and, you know, slash whatever subgenre that I feel like hasn't been tapped into a lot is native mythology and folklore films. Like,
What about Children of the Corn 2?
Fuck. So there is films out there, but I don't think there's an abundance of, and I think there's a lot of like folklore and great mythology within, you know, native culture and stuff that you could bring to the forefront, like Clear Cut. Like, you know, that's a great, you know, folklore film that's, you know, just so rich in what it does. It's so good. It's so fucking good. And you take these ideas and they have like Native American, Native Canadians, that they have so much like, you know, history and like mythology and like, and all their beliefs are so different and they're so cool. They're almost stylized and they're so supernatural, but like they're so like you can get into the ideas. I think that if you you took some of these ideas and you brought them to the forefront, you could have a really amazing subgenre.
Dude, you just described Children of the Corn 2. What?
No, I didn't. No, I didn't.
Yes, you did.
Mm-mm.
Man, no respect.
But needs to be more. Needs to be more, in my opinion.
We're also going to get another rescue job next month with Blood Tracks. Because
yeah, that's literally another one that I see on the same list as that.
Right, because that was also dark as fuck and cropped as hell, because who knew that motherfucking movie was shot in scope? So you didn't even see
I've
half
actually
the screen.
seen that one before.
I would like to go back because I actually have an official Italian DVD of Blood Tracks, and it does. I remember not looking that bad. I'm not sure if it's in 4:3 or if it's in 60. I can't remember the actual aspect ratio of it. But I remember popping it in because I'd seen the film before and going, whoa, what the fuck? It looks really good. So they obviously used some elements. It wasn't just like, oh, we're going to put out a fucking DVD transfer of it. So, and it is an official. I actually looked into it. Actually, it's official. It's not even a bootleg. It's some Italian company. Who knows? Maybe it's Grey Market. I don't know. It's a press disc. It looks good. But I can't wait to see Blood Tracks next month. Maybe that might be the
It could be the feature
Feature.
just because it's snowy and
Mhm.
you know we're kind of balls deep in winter at that point. So
oh yeah,
That movie is definitely getting
Snowballs
reviewed in some way
deep in
next
winter.
month.
yeah.
yeah, so I'm sure you'll hear about that next month.
Right.
Well, we're gonna
But
probably
yeah,
have to choose it when it's not the Keep that comes out. So
I don't even want to do the keep. I feel
Well,
like we may have to do the keep though if that is announced because it's like
I kind of
such
don't
a
want to
notable.
either.
Yeah,
I'd rather do
I guess
Black
it
Eyes, but
depends if they have like the cool cut or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah, if the
I've never
director's
been a
cut is
big fan
there,
of that
yeah,
film.
I like it. It's just not very exciting. That's just the problem.
It looks like it's going to be hella exciting when you start it.
right.
You know, it looks like it's going to be like awesome, and there's some like good cinematography and sound and stuff in it, but
What were the hints on that? Why does everyone think it's the Keep? Because I might have missed that.
because the somebody involved or something said that they were working on like a commentary or something, I
There
think.
was an art leak.
yeah, that's what it is.
Some
The art leak
some
months
artist that
ago.
was working on the Keep had like
Oh, that's what it was. Yep.
the file name said like Vinegar Syndrome Blue Array or some shit.
Oh
And
shit.
then it
So
was like
Yeah.
quickly taken down.
Yeah.
He was like
fuck.
selling an original print on like an artist site or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
I
was
bet they
hoping
were fucking pissed.
I was hoping it
Oh
was
hell
gonna
yeah,
be
spilled the beans.
like iced or something. I want like shit like that.
I
So
mean, the Keep is a pretty big release.
yeah.
Like, if they were
The
to,
Keep
Yeah,
is
it needs to
huge.
happen. Like
Well, it's gonna be one of those
it is a
films.
title that needs to come out.
It's going to be one of those movies that like everyone's been asking for forever. It's going to come out, everyone's going to watch it, no one's going to like it, it's going to disappear, no one's going to mention a thing about it ever again. This has happened with a few different titles. I think it was
I
like
mean, that movie does have a lot of fans. I don't know
yeah,
why, but it
I like
does.
that movie.
I remember when
It's
I
just
think
Michael Mann.
yeah, I remember when Synapse put out Popcorn. Like that was one of the titles back in the early YouTube days where everyone's like, I need popcorn on Blu-ray, and then it finally gets released and no one talked about it.
Yeah, right.
Except for
I
the
love that release.
I did. Holy shit.
except for the fans of the film before, but I'm talking about all the people that never seen it that they really wanted this movie, and
That
then
was
they
like-
Tutor told them so.
and then they're like, oh, it's not really that good. I'm like, fuck, whatever, shut up.
That
man.
was ticks and mosquito for me. Like I was so fucking hyped when those came out.
Man,
I like
Synapse used to be on fucking fire.
But I mean, when I
With,
first
like, some
got
of their
into
shit.
collecting, like they were like players. It was like that. It was like Screen Factory, them, and like Blue Underground for North American companies.
Oh, yeah.
It was
Oh, it was Mondo for me, Mondo and like fucking not Vinegar Syndrome, Blue Underground, because it was like re-releasing all of the original Anchor Bay titles plus more. It was kind of cool.
Yeah, for me, Synapse and Blue Underground were like the kings until Scream Factory came around, and then eventually they shit the bed too. But
Yeah.
They became they just haven't changed basically in 10 years, and like the well is like just much drier than it used to be. They're also just not like big fish little pond anymore.
like there's way more competition out there for
Yeah.
like the collector's edition type things.
Well, they're
that we
just
get.
tapping into what all these newer collectors want. They just want everything on 4K, right? So
Yeah.
they've got that locked down because they have a vast collection of films
I
that
know,
they
I
still
was
own the
in
rights for.
Walmart
They're
There are a lot of
re-releasing all the
classics.
and everyone's buying up all the shit that
Yeah.
that never was buying the Blu-rays before. But for us who have all those Blu-rays from the
Yeah.
early days of 2012 Screen Factory, I've upgraded maybe three. Like,
Yeah,
and they've
I know.
and they've
Yeah, I think
re-released
I
they've
did,
re-released
like-
50. They've re-released 50 by this point.
Yeah.
I did the Funhouse, the Howling, and They Live, I think,
Yeah.
is the ones I upgraded.
Every
Like,
once in a while, they used to be like $15 at Best Buy for some random reason. It was specifically like Screen Factory 4Ks would randomly be like $15 for no reason.
well, I did the first three Halloweens too. Like,
I did all those actually.
I
And the
didn't. I just
Child's
did-
Play.
I
Three
only
of the
even did
Child's
Hall.
Plays.
I had the original.
I didn't buy any of the
Halloween
Child's
4K.
Plays actually. I just own that old box set. Then I'm fine with it. It's fine.
See, well,
Yeah.
the cool thing about
too.
Child's Play for me was I never actually picked them up on Blu-ray.
Hmm.
So,
Well, that makes sense.
like, I never
Yeah,
bought the
that's
box
cool.
set or anything. So it was actually like a good upgrade for me.
I know I did Killer Clowns because I'm obsessed with that fucking movie, and I own like 95 copies of
I
Killer
know, but
Clowns.
that
I
Arrow
had to buy that
Blu-ray of
steel
Killer
book.
Clowns is
Yeah, it's
so
nice.
fucking cool anyway. The Arrow
And
Yeah,
it looks
Blu-ray.
I have
amazing
that
in
one.
4K.
I
I've
was
got that Arrow
That's a
one, too.
movie you have to have in 4K. Like, I'm sorry. Like,
It's just so
you can't be a
colorful.
horror
Looks good.
fan and not have Killer Clowns in 4K.
Yes,
Yeah,
I
it looks
can.
good.
That
I
movie's
upgrade
fucking made
stuff
for
by,
that.
like-
It's
like
so
by,
good.
like,
It pops like a
occasion.
motherfucker, man. It's
Yeah,
so good.
it is. A
I think I
beautiful
might have
movie.
bought the Howling too. I not the Howling 2, but the Howling also, I should say. Proper English moods.
All right, well, go ahead.
No, Tony's still up.
So, well, I was just gonna say, I don't think that you can be a Killer Clowns fan without seeing it in the theater with the Chodo brothers.
Did you just call them the the
What
Chodo?
is their name?
Chiodo.
Is Chiodo?
I don't think it's the
Chiodo.
Chodo.
It's
Chiodo.
Chiodo.
Chiodo? Yeah. So
Yeah.
I'm just
Chiodo
saying,
Bros.
like,
Chiodo
clearly
Brothers.
The band's named after them.
clearly I'm a bigger fan than you guys. You just have the 4K. I watched the movie with them. So
You know what? I don't think
Wow.
that seeing shit in cinema has anything to do with it being a bigger fan. I think it's strictly based on fucking geography.
if you were a big enough fan, geography would not matter.
Dude, I don't get shit where I am in the West. I don't get a fucking thing over here, man, for like retro horror. Like, that's insane. It never happens.
The Chiodo brothers don't make their way out there when they're playing
No.
Killer Clowns.
No.
Dude, it was cool though.
Yeah, you're super blessed with that because you always get the opportunity to see all
Yeah, I
these
got
like,
to see
marathons.
Children of the Corn with Isaac and Malachi, John Franklin and Courtney Gaines. Saw Evil Dead with the girls. It was, dude, those are probably the funnest. If you ever get a chance to, like, the Henenlotter one was great too. If you ever get a chance to watch a movie with the fucking director, it's pretty fucking cool.
Yeah, as far as I know, there's like absolutely nothing like that around me.
Yeah, well,
I saw the Black Devil doll from Hell with the director, and he snored next to me.
what the hell is that guy's
That's
name?
incredible.
Dude,
It's
that's
like
amazing.
Chester Turner. That was at
Chester
Cinema
Turner.
Wasteland in like 2013, I think.
Oh, we did that. We did those movies actually. That's fucking
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, that
It's
was
pretty
sweet.
good.
Obviously was partying a little bit too hard before they went in for the screening.
Yeah.
Also
Or
sleeping
he's,
in
or
his
he's
own
just an old man. And he's
He was
tired.
pretty old, but he was
He's
super
like,
hardcore.
dude,
It
I've
was
seen this
awesome.
movie. You've seen this movie 87 times. Like, man.
I have not had the opportunity to watch a lot of movies with directors at all. I think the
Any?
last one I saw
Ryan?
was Ryan Nicholson,
Yeah.
Gutterball. I've seen the one of two showings of the original Gutterballs too. But like, yeah, with Ryan, fuck, that's probably it, man. I mean, maybe a couple other indie films, but for sure a couple other indie films, but nothing more notable than that, probably. I just
Yeah.
don't get the opportunity. It sucks, man. I just don't. It just doesn't happen. So
I've never done it.
like I met directors at HorrorCon and stuff like that, but they're never showing their films and stuff. They're doing usually Q&As and stuff. Like it's weird. So,
Yeah.
but
Damn, Ohio and PA is where it's at.
yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, I think I did see some movie at a con with a director like over 10 years ago.
I watched
couldn't tell you the
Hatchet
director's
4 with
name.
Adam Green once.
I'm really bad. Like when we're at like
too.
Cinema Wasteland, I never go in to see the
Yeah.
screenings because we're just too busy walking around and bullshit. And there's
Oh,
too many of us.
nerd.
Like it's hard. Our attention, we all have ADD at that point.
Yeah.
It's fucking like over
Yeah.
here, over here, over here. Like holy shit, dude.
We
Like,
we all went and watched Carly's movie.
Yeah, we did that. And we did watch the
That
porn
one year.
movie too. The porn
oh, I
doc.
wasn't there like that
Oh,
for
yeah.
that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you, JP, have you ever heard Adam Green tell the story about Eric Estrada?
I don't know.
I'd
There's
Probably.
a, there's a story he tells about like he didn't want to name drop like a
The
person.
But
But
people
he,
person,
but he
but
kept
like-
but he kept
but like-
referencing chips.
But like but the fan was like telling a story, and like the fan didn't want to reference the person. Like they were telling a story, and it was like about like celebrities that they've met, like that have been creepy.
Yeah.
And then like Adam said Eric Estrada like offhand, and she was like, "How did you know? That's who it was."
Wow.
That's
So,
wild.
like he tells that story, I guess, at cons about just like funny like experiences that's happened at cons, and like I was literally in the room when that happened.
Wow.
That's funny. That's funny.
Hey Tyler,
Yeah,
knock knock.
who's there?
Eric Estrada.
Eric Estrada who?
Eric Estrada, who?
Eric Estrada you.
Chips. JP over here ruining my fucking joke.
Yeah, dude, that was fucking.
I was just
weird.
reciting the
a
opening
joke
line
has to
in
be
Mandy. Well, it's the opening line in Mandy. It's
That's
literally
actually a
just
crazy movie
Nicholas.
I've never seen.
Yeah, he just opens the whole movie just an Eric Estrada from Chips knock knock joke. That's
I just saw a post like
Did
2
you
days
hear
ago where someone
Miley
said that Mandy
Cyrus.
was like their most hated movie ever.
Did
I
you
was like,
did you see that Miley Cyrus wanted to make like like a Mandy play or something like that with Nick Cage. I
Jesus.
saw
That's
that the other
bizarre.
day.
That would be
Yeah,
so unhinged, man. Oh my
Yeah,
God.
it would
that's
probably be
fucking.
pretty epic, honestly.
I'd be down for that. They do the play,
She's kind of nuts, dude.
but
She
he
she
plays the character from Vampire Kiss. Oh my God.
Would she be like the cult leader?
that would be the best if she was.
That'd be amazing.
Yeah,
That would work
I'd
the
go to
best.
that. Yeah, something like that. I forget. Maybe I'm mis Tylering here, but it was something like that. I just saw in
Just
passing.
Tyler in
Just
here.
Tyler, not fact checking.
Yeah,
No
Yeah,
fact check.
Miley Cyrus wanting to do Mandy. Yeah, that kind of does lean towards a Tyler fact right there.
yeah, pulled out of nowhere. Probably a dream I had.
I'm like a mainstream news anchor.
Yeah, right. Um, so I gave Ghost Dance a 7. Tony, you said 7.5.
Yeah.
Moods.
I'm at a 6.
Tyler.
I don't watch it.
Tyler, never watch it.
I
You might
don't
like it,
get-
Tyler.
I don't
Listen,
get these
Tyler.
things.
He
These
talks
are
a lot
movies-
on this show for someone that doesn't
Look.
watch any of the movies.
These are movies.
Look,
that
Tyler, this is American folklore at its fucking best, bro. Just
Yeah,
because it's
and,
not on a
like-
Severin box set doesn't mean it's
No,
like not good.
Listen, like these are movies I would pick up. Like, but I'm not gonna like pick them up like at full price when I have to like decide which movies I watch this month.
Yeah,
I don't know.
feel you.
Ghost
You're not
Dance
a
is
sub.
pretty like
Like if I was a sub, and,
I feel like
someone
that's
just
a
sent me these
shoe-in
movies,
title that you're gonna get if you're just getting a couple things. At
If it
least
was
for
the main
me.
review, I would have gotten it.
This is a top shelf Vinegar Syndrome
I'm
release,
trying to think,
Look at
honestly.
that
what
cover.
else? What else did I get this? So I got Quartz Mania this month. I got The Tenant, and I got what's that movie that got re-released? The Reflecting Skin. So yeah, I had a robust pack. I already had a full cart.
Okay, so I have all those titles sitting I
Mm.
just put away from when I did my update like a month ago. I just don't have room.
All right, so I guess that's all of our reviews, right?
Yeah, you went through the features? Fuck, I don't remember now. Okay.
Wait, did I not? Did we just completely skip past that? Yeah, I didn't even talk about the features.
Yeah, I think we did skip it.
Yeah, because JP
I'll
was
just-
moving along.
I'll just
What?
run through them real quick.
Wait, hold on. What?
You were trying to move that shit along, man.
No, I was trying to tell a story.
Well,
I'm
I'm
not
gonna
in-
move this shit
I
right
have
along
not-
real quick.
I have not been in a rush this episode at all because I don't have to wake up at 5 in the morning.
I do have to wake up pretty early to start making food because tomorrow is Thanksgiving. But there's a commentary track that I actually did
Not
get
if you're in
to.
Canada. They have that shit in October for some weird reason.
It's nice because our
Delicious.
turkey dinners aren't fucking back-to-back weekends like yours.
It's not nice, dude. It's fucking in the middle of Halloween. Like,
Dude,
get out of here.
we just have a turkey. I don't celebrate
Back-to-back
Thanksgiving.
dinners.
In fact, you guys shouldn't either because that shit's bullocks. But anyways, we're not getting all political on that shit. But
It is stupid.
Well,
Mhm.
I mean, things change. Like to most people, Thanksgiving is just about like being with family and fucking celebrating.
Is it kind of crazy though that we're sitting here reviewing the Ghost Dance and we're talking about Thanksgiving?
Dude, this
Hey,
is a very,
yeah,
this
let
is a
me-
very themed
Let me
month.
finish
Oh
this
my
damn
god,
review.
that just played in perfectly.
There's a
Yeah.
commentary track that I got into that was actually pretty good. It's by Justin Kurzweil and Amanda Reyes.
See, there's
And
my girl right there.
she does a really good job because she went fucking deep diving into like Native American like folklore and shit and like
That's how she
Really
always is, dude. She's awesome.
yeah, she's like reading books and she really talks about how like much authenticity like the ghost dance actually has to the real thing. She was talking about how it kind of like pissed off the locals because half of the ghost dance was exactly how it's supposed to be. Like I guess the foundations of the story in the movie are exactly what it is, but obviously like the real ghost dance isn't about like a cult leader like doing human sacrifice and shit. Like in the real tribe, like the ghost dance was a way for the natives to like reconnect with their lost loved ones, basically. It's like something
Not
so
ripping
nice.
kids' guts out.
Yeah, so wonderful and wholesome, but they turned it into this. And she
Yeah,
talked
I
about
can
like
see
the
how that might piss you
ramifications.
off.
Yeah, they talk about how it pissed off some of the locals and shit, but she talked about how like a lot of the lore in the movie was pretty authentic to the source. And they're just
Hmm.
slasher historians on top of that too. They're going around like talking about how the reasons why it went obscure and the problems and all that shit. It's honestly really worth it just for the Native American talk.
Yeah, that sounds good, man. That's the
Yeah,
kind of
and
commentaries I love. The like academic-y ones from like a writer.
yeah, like Amanda Reyes in general, like she just fucking puts like 110% in like everything she does.
Yeah, and it seems like so effortless too.
Hmm. But yeah, besides that, there's an interview with the director and writer, which are kind of basically the same thing. Like for them, it was like a huge passion project. Like they were going to like local tribes and consulting with them and reading books and doing all this different research
Wow,
to
they put
write
a lot
this
of care into
movie.
this, huh?
Yeah, they did. I mean, you can see it on the page. Besides like turning it and weaving into a horror narrative, like there's a lot of cool like folklore in this movie. But the one feature that I didn't get to was an interview with stunt coordinator Don Shanks, which I'm kind of sad I didn't get to because that's the guy who played Michael Myers in Halloween 5.
Hmm.
And
Whoa.
knowing that and then watching this movie, knowing that he did the stunts, like he kind of just has that fucking like robotic, boxy ass Michael Myers like mannerism down.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's it for the features, really. There's not too much.
I mean, at least you got some decent ones for a film like this, you know.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
what were the reasons for it becoming super obscure and not really getting a release until now? Because it was stuck on VHS for fucking, well, obviously ever. Skip
They
It's
talk
DVD.
about that.
basically Yeah, so they talked about how it was filmed in the summer of 1980, and then they don't know why because they didn't like get to the like the details of it, but some for some reason it just sat on the shelf for 2 years, and then by the time they released it
I'm
in
assuming
'82,
probably because they were trying to find somebody to distribute it on tape or whatever, right? Because it wasn't going
hmm
theatrical. So sometimes
Yeah.
distributors
Maybe
just
they were trying to see if they could make it go theatrical and it
it could have
wasn't
been that,
happening.
and then they shopped it around for distributed. You know, people pass on films though too, right? So
hmm
Hmm.
But yeah, I mean, if it did come out in 1980, like it probably would have played off a lot better because people weren't expecting like
Yeah,
the
probably.
gore because at that point, like Friday 13th had just come out. Like slashers are so early at that point.
but you're right though, because if this movie came out in 1980, which was technically before the peak of slashers, but it's kind of funny between it coming out, if it had to came out in 1980, it probably would have done a little bit better. You get this peak in 1981, and by 1982, we were already on the downslide. So people
Hmm.
were already checking out on slashers when it came out. And like it's funny if it had to came out in 80, which is basically what, like a year and a half earlier, it probably would have done. It would have been a totally different result of this movie.
Yeah,
Timing
who
is
knows?
everything.
We could have fucking like six Ghost Dance movies for all we know.
It could have became a
Maybe in
franchise for
another
sure.
universe.
Right.
Yeah,
But yeah, they said
another
that it.
native thing that think is like one of my favorites is the Creep Show 2 segment,
Oh,
Old
that's a
Chief
good one.
Woodenhead.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's funny you mentioned that
His
because
hair
Did
is
they
gonna
the
bring that
get
up
old
in that?
paid in late.
well, no, the old elder in this movie is actually in Creepshow 2. He's in the old Chief Woodenhead
Fuck, is that the
segment.
same dude?
Yeah.
Is that the
He's
same
like
dude that
the
they go to see? Like in the oh, what the fuck?
it's
Whatever you want to.
the dude that like shoots the place up. It's his uncle.
Oh, okay.
The
Okay.
dude with the hair.
Yeah, yeah.
Girls are
Yeah.
gonna want to run this hair in between their
That
legs.
dude's
That's
like the biggest douchebag in the
that's
world.
the dude.
His
Okay,
hair
fuck.
is gonna get me paid in late.
Speaking of Native Americans
Right.
played by non-natives.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Wait, that guy
That
wasn't
guy
native?
no, that
Damn.
guy's an Irishman.
Damn.
They were still doing that shit in the 80s. Crazy.
Oh, JP, did you see the Iron Claw that came out
The
last year about
wrestling
the Von
movie?
Erichs?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
I did.
I didn't actually. You know what? I went to watch it on Emby one day and the volume wasn't working. I complained about it and they're like, it's fine, but it wasn't
Well,
working for me, so I never
anyways,
went back to it.
the father in that movie plays the asshole Native American in Creepshow too.
That's
Really?
Yeah, think about
That's
that.
That's
fucking
crazy.
weird. Wow.
Hmm.
But yeah, solid movie. Solid slasher movie. For like a golden age slasher movie to come out like this, remastered in 2024, it's literally a dream come true for people like us.
Yeah, I agree. Except for Tyler. He don't care.
Check it out, Tyler. I think you would like it.
You better pick it up on like a fucking Black Friday.
This is the kind of
next
thing
year.
like I would pick up like I'd pick up in May when
Yeah,
they
you should
have
at least watch it if the trailer or if the transfer like gets put on streaming somewhere.
yeah. Like a lot of the times I'll
Oh, I'm
watch
sure
things
it'll
like
be on
when they're
Shutter soon. A lot of Vincent stuff goes to Shutter usually.
Where the fuck is Iced? I really want Iced, man. I've always liked that movie. A lot of people don't like it, but I like it.
Ice rules, great ending.
Yeah.
even like this
I love
sale,
the
if
setting.
I don't even know what I'm gonna like get on this sale. So like if I'm only gonna end up buying like Black Friday like movies that come out, I might even just save my points to like next Black Friday and pretty much pick up like a lot of the releases like we've talked about
But
like
don't
at
you know,
that sale.
Tyler?
But
If you spend points every day during the sale, you get entered in some stupid contest to win some like mystery items.
oh Jesus.
Do you see that little thing that they put?
No, I didn't see it.
Yeah, it's like some thing that they're doing where if like you spend your member points over the weekends, like one per day, you get entered into this like contest to win like random shit. I'm
I mean
sure you win like
that like was my plan. Like because I've been saving them literally since like last Black Friday, but like I don't even know like what like there's nothing like new basically from like the last Black Friday sale that like what am I gonna like get that I wouldn't have gotten on that sale? You know what I mean?
no,
Like
especially with
like
doing this show. Now you're just
yeah,
buying
well
more
it's
things than you usually
actually
will.
there's probably more things I'm like I'll be attracted to like for example like I don't know if I ever like last like for the halfway to Black Friday sale like I bought like Black Room because like we talked about it. And like I might have like not bought that if we didn't talk about it. So it does kind of like open like my scope to stuff. Like there are like some things like you guys have reviewed I haven't watched that. Like I'd pick that up on a sale.
All right. Well, okay. So that's gonna conclude the round trees, I guess. And I guess we'll get into this these featured reviews, pluralized. So we're gonna be doing the well, it's just like I said before, it worked out that we're doing this box set this month because it's Italian horror month on 22 shots. And so we're gonna do the Forgotten Gialli Volume 7 set, all three films. So we're going to do them in order of release. And I did check the dates on the other two. So one came out like a month or two before the other one. So I'm just going by that. So we're going to start in 1983 with a film called Mystere.
Mystere.
Mystere. Also
Mystere.
known as Dagger Eyes,
Dagger Eyes.
Dagger Eyes.
which
Yeah,
IMDb has it
Dagger Eyes.
as
Letterboxd has it as Dagger Eyes too.
yeah, it comes up as
Yeah.
Dagger Eyes. So
I changed the poster to Mystere on Letterboxd.
Mystere. It's not mystery, it's Mystere. So whatever. But of course, this one is starring the beautiful Carol Bouquet, who I mean, as a huge Bond dork, I fucking love her. She's actually stars in one of my favorite Bond movies, For Your Eyes Only. So right when I saw this, I was like, oh, like saw her on the cover. I was like, fucking, that's crazy. I'd never really seen her in too much before. She actually was a model, I think, even at this time for a lot of years. Very, very beautiful, very exotic looking. So it's kind of cool to see her like in a starring role because in that film, she's, just more or less a Bond girl, right? But yeah, so 1983, of course, is, like way past the boom of the Giallo, but we'll get into that anyways. Synopsis on this one. Assassins are after a prostitute who has come into possession of a cigarette lighter that, unbeknownst to her, contains the negative that shows a politician's assassination. That's pretty accurate, actually.
Mhm.
That's pretty accurate to what the narrative is, actually. This is an interesting box set, man. It deals with a lot of prostitution and like porn. It's
It's a
weird.
very like pro like feminism like box set.
Yeah, like it's
Very much so.
prostitution and porn.
Mhm.
It's really interesting.
Did any of you guys think the assassin looked like Abe Lincoln like pre-Civil War when he didn't have a beard yet and like wasn't like all like
That look like
dressed in
Abraham
dead?
Lincoln?
It's funny you mentioned that because I was thinking that he looked like Vincent Van Gogh.
Dude, I thought he looked like Lincoln, and I just started busting out loud laughing like that opening shot when he assassinates the guy. So I was like, this is like a Kennedy assassination done by Abraham Lincoln, and I just like couldn't stop fucking laughing.
Plus, the dude was so fucking chill. It's like he blows the dude up, and he has like I don't know. He just like so calmly like closes the window. He's like, "Yeah, that was a good job." He's
That
like,
was a
"I'm
good
not. I
shot.
don't need to get the fuck out of here." It's like, wow, I did that.
I always thought like this movie's funny because like we get this assassination at the beginning of the film, and it's like it really the assassination has like nothing to do with the movie.
It's a
Like at all.
It
MacGuffin.
just moves it along.
It's totally a
MacGuffin.
MacGuffin. It's just a setup to
Yeah.
like what comes after, right? It's like
Yeah, I was a little disappointed it didn't like come out. I thought it was like, this is gonna be like a Day of the Jackal, like political thriller. All right, baby.
I
Like
like
yeah.
it.
Mormons? Is
It's
that what
just
we're
all
doing
about the
here?
pictures.
I mean, most of these movies have one thing in common. They're not your typical
Giallo.
giallo constructed
I
giallo.
felt like this one was more like a Polizio Tesci, like for sure.
All these movies they have elements of being gialli,
Yeah.
but you know they're not the full blown construction of a giallo. So don't expect something like 1970, Bird of the Crystal Plumage type thing. It's you're not going to get that. These are all a little bit different. It's like I said before, it's way past the boom of I mean, giallo. I mean, even when Deep Red came out, it was pretty much on its decline. It was on its decline by then. Just happened to get a really good one in '75, but '73 was kind of I think the end of it really.
Mhm.
But it's crazy, you get one in '83 and you get this type of thing. So it's changed a little bit. It's a little bit different. So, what are your guys' thoughts on the film? I'm assuming none of us have seen. I hadn't seen any of these movies
No, I
myself.
haven't seen any of these before.
Same.
Oh yeah, same.
Yeah,
I
so
liked it. Like to me, like it just felt like a Giallo like Bond movie. Like it just felt like a spy movie to me, and I like Bond movies, so like
Mhm.
I was enjoying it. I really loved the theme song. Like that really felt like a Bond theme, the opening theme. Like the villain, he felt like a Bond villain to me. It just I don't know. I really
this
liked it.
movie completely felt like they were trying to do more of like I guess in a sense, like a sleazy, just offshoot of a Bond movie. They not only used somebody that was like For Your Eyes only came out in what, 82? So she was coming straight off that big success of that film, I think.
That
Uh,
might have just been the entire point of the movie, is just to sell it off of For Your Eyes Only.
right, because
I
it's
mean, it
very,
wouldn't be
very,
the first
they
time.
even mention 007 in this film. Like, it
Hmm.
can't be coincidental, right? Like, so like I looked at the year and went 83. I'm like, dude, she's come or For Your Eyes only was 81. It doesn't really matter. It's very, very close in proximity of her doing the film. And she's very notable in that one too. Like, if you're a fan of that film, you remember her. You just like she just has that face. She's so beautiful, man. I'm just like, she's just like drop dead gorgeous. But like this movie honestly might have one of the funniest it might be I don't think I've ever seen a film where somebody dies 3 different times within a film.
Probably
Like
not.
that shit is fucking hysterical to me. And they even mention it too. Like she even makes a joke about it, like, hey, like, he died fucking 3 times. I'm like, oh my God, it's so stupid. Like, it's
And
so
one of them
fun.
is a dummy death.
And one of them is a
Yeah.
dummy death. Exactly. It's so good. So good. But like the fact that they just keep killing this person, I won't give it away. Um, but it's pretty funny. It's actually pretty funny to me. I
It's
think
kind of
that
like
like
Sorority House Massacre with fucking Orville Ketchum.
yeah,
They just like stab him, shoot him with machine guns and all this
right,
other shit. He just keeps getting up.
right. This is one of those movies where I didn't really like. I thought it was so obvious what was going on until like, this certain person ends up dead, and then you're like, oh shit, okay, and then it kind of changes its direction a little bit, right? It changes its direction, so therefore it's like it really is just kind of like a police chessy type film. at that point kind of thing. Um, I think it's, you know, it was decent for what it was. I thought it was pretty decent for it's not mind blowing. The story is there's not a lot of mystery to it. There's not really a lot of suspense to it. Like there's moments that are interesting. You called the score. I think that's really you know, or the theme song is really good in the film. Um, you know, the kills for the same
Eh.
person being killed over and over again. It's like there's not really nothing there. You're not getting stylistic kills like a Giallo.
Yeah.
You know, the
There's
body
like
count.
no nudity either.
No,
Yeah,
and
that's
that
not
okay,
very.
and that's the other thing I was getting at too. This movie doesn't really have a lot of sleaze base to it, considering we're
It
dealing,
also
we're
it
dealing with a
also
prostitute.
almost it also seems like it is trying really hard not to show nudity. Like just the situations and scenes that happen in the movie, it's like you expect nudity in certain scenes, and it's like they
A
try not
giallo
to.
I'm
Yeah.
not gonna
featuring
lie.
prostitution
Yeah,
without
I'm
there
not,
would have been
nudity.
like parts in the scene. There's one part in particular I'm thinking of where you catch like just like a second of like boobage from across the room. Like if
yeah,
that
of
was
her
a
boobs.
giallo, yeah, if
But
that
you know,
was a
I'll
giallo, that would
I'll
have
be
been like a
honest.
close up.
I'll be honest. Going into this movie though, like I didn't think it was going to be overly super sleazy with her being the lead because I just couldn't imagine her coming from being a Bond girl to being a bona fide model and stuff like that. I just couldn't imagine it being too sleazy considering what her actual other profession was.
Hmm.
So it didn't really surprise me that we didn't get a lot of that. But I mean, there's a lot of sexiness, but at the same time, it still deals with other prostitutes and stuff like that. Like, actually, the girl that steals the lighter in the movie, so weird. Janet Argren, who is in like multiple Italian films. I watched like 4 movies last week with her in it. Like, what the fuck? It's so weird how that happens, dude. Like, you know, I rewatched Rat Man. She was in Rat Man. You know, of course, she was in Eaten Alive, you know, the Lindsay film from '80 and stuff like that. What else? I watched her in City of the Living Dead. She's in that film. Something else too, I think. But yeah, anyways, it's just like one of those Italian heads that just pops up in everything, right? So that was kind of cool. But yeah, she's the one that steals a lighter and ends up dead.
Yeah.
But you know,
That's like the most giallo filling part of the movie
yeah.
for me.
Mhm.
Like the setup.
I just feel like the story is a little bit sloppy. I mean, I think that like having the captain involved in stuff and like just the way it goes, like I mean, I guess that's kind of what they wrote, but like I just felt like it was so obvious. Like so beyond obvious what was going on right away. Like I guess it was meant to be because when he's talking to the captain in his office, I'm like, are they just being really bad about this? But then they're like leaning towards telling you what's going on. And I'm like, okay.
Yeah, because the problem is like, who else could it be? You know what I mean? Like, we're talking about people that are like worried about film negatives and a fucking lighter. You know what
Yeah.
I mean?
Yeah.
Like, the only people that are worried about this are like your high officials and people like that. So it's like, it's obvious that it's that.
hmm hmm But yeah, it's just all about making a mighty dollar too, man. It just goes from one person trying to fucking capitalize on that shit to like someone else capitalizing, and it's like, oh my god, it just shows the corruption within everything. Like this cop, like our cop doesn't seem like he does kind of seem like a sleazebag. He's a little bit high on himself. He does seem like kind of a narcissistic asshole at first and stuff, but like he doesn't necessarily seem like he's the type of person that is going to flip the script and be like, bro, I'm gonna get $1 million out of this shit, bro. You know, it doesn't seem like that at first. I'm like, okay, that's what we're doing here. Okay, whatever. I
But yeah,
don't
they don't care. You know what I
yeah,
mean? Like, if you got money in your hands, fuck it, I'll do anything.
yeah, it's such an old school setup that you would never see today in a film where there's film negatives in a fancy ass lighter. Like that is such an 80s thing that
Yeah.
you just can't
Yeah, oh
duplicate.
yeah.
I love watching shit like this because it just really time capsules the time capitalizes on time, and it's like you just we would like we don't get cool like shit like that anymore. Like what do you do? Like you got some shit on a fucking SIM card on your cell phone. Like it's not
Yeah.
as cool, man. It's just not as it's not as cool. You know, I like those whole ideas, man, but you know, I mean, this one right here for me is kind of like an A to B thing. Like, I mean, it's entertaining for what it is. It's got beautiful women and it's got some cool stuff. Like, The nunchuck scene, dude, I literally started pissing
Oh, the
myself
nunchuck
laughing.
was fucking really funny.
Fuck,
Yeah.
The
dude.
first time he started like working on those things, it came out of fucking nowhere. It was
Oh, he
like the
picks him up at
hardest
the end.
transition to him just in full blown like midway through his regimen.
Dude, the fight scene with the knife and the nunchucks,
Oh,
I actually was
When he
laughing out
grabs the
loud to myself.
nunchucks.
I'm
Yeah.
so glad he brought those back out because it's like where was he? It's like you don't leave home without your nunchucks. It's like he just had them at the bedside in a fucking like hotel in a resort. It's like it wasn't even in his house.
It's so ridiculous, man. So I was thinking to myself too, I was laughing watching this going, if this movie got released in the UK in like 1983, they would have saw none of that because they were outlawed. They were just banned straight out. Nunchucks
Nunchucks.
were banned, and they used like even in Ninja Turtles films, like they actually had that edited out. Like you couldn't show nunchucks in fucking
Oh
in the
my
UK.
god,
Part
dude.
two.
Imagine like
Part two, they
Dude, that
didn't
editing
use
would piss
weapons
me
at
off
all.
so much, dude.
no editing out nunchucks of the fucking Ninja Turtles. Oh my
Yeah,
god.
he was using
What? I
fucking
don't know what's with the
like
nunchucks, man.
sausage. He was using sausage links in part two instead of nunchucks.
Jesus Christ.
Combat cold cuts or whatever the fuck it
That's the
was.
biggest disappointment about part two is they like toned down the darkness tremendously.
Yeah, right.
Here we are talking about Ninja Turtles too.
But I gotta say though, man, like the cop, he was funny as hell, dude. Like, I like the fact that like he's not hell bent on getting our lead and stuff like that because he clearly tells her he's like, man, I'm not into white chicks, man. I'm into brown sugar. Oh my god, dude, I
Oh
was
my
fucking
god.
dying, dude.
He's such a badass.
I was like, dude,
Did
that
you
is
feel
so
like he
fucking
was
awesome.
modeled after like some like 80s like Miami Vice type guy?
Pretty much.
Absolutely. He was
That's
for
what I
sure
feel like.
like the most American dude.
Yeah.
It
I
reminded
had to
me of
look
like
twice.
Andy Sedaris movies.
But
I
he
was
was
surprised he
though.
wasn't American. I looked it up and it was like he had a super like Italian last name. I was like, okay, I guess.
But he plays an American cop though, right? He's actually from New York doing
Oh, okay. I might have just
working.
missed that part. So I remember thinking
Yeah,
like, this guy
his
seems
name's
super
Colt.
Yeah, like he actually is from New York. I don't think they fully explain. Like he's a cop from New York that's in Rome, and he's working there. I don't know how. Like it doesn't really make a lot of sense that you're just like this New York cop that just investigating shit in Rome. It doesn't really make a lot of sense. But yeah, they actually do say that in the film though. So
I love some of the choices he makes in this movie. Made me really root for him.
he's very narcissistic, man. It's pretty funny. I think one of my favorite thing is like when Mystere she's talking to I guess what I want to say like I guess he's kind of the pimp, like Mink the pimp or whatever the fuck he was, and like they work out the deal where like he wants to charge her like $1,000 a month for working the territory and shit like that, and they go from like her paying him $1,000 a month to like a couple fucks a month, and I'm like, wow, that's a really good deal.
Oh yeah, hell yeah! If he's
Like she
basically
worked that.
he's not even a pimp. He's like the main bad guy from Roadhouse, where it's like you're
Yeah.
on my turf, so you need to pay like my thing for protection type
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like
bullshit.
he's acting like a pimp. He's like trying to pimp out the money. Like I'm like what the like you're not the pimp. Like it was weird to me. I was like, the fuck is this guy doing? But I just thought like he was super persuaded by like her lustfulness because they went from $1,000 to two fucks. I'm like, really? Like who wouldn't take that deal? You know? That's pretty simple.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's a good
He
deal
knew
for
what he
her,
was
man.
doing.
Yeah.
This ain't his first rodeo.
Yeah, exactly. He wasn't getting no thousand, but he knew at the end of the day he was getting two free ones. That's all he was actually
And
asking for.
and from Mystere of all people too.
Yeah. I mean, this movie actually does have some like it has a couple decent scenes where like, I mean, the nunchucks nice scene's pretty funny, but like, I wish they had went full blown with the dummy death though. That was kind of a disappointment because they show the dummy and then they hits the I'm like,
Cut it.
you got to show the whole thing, man. But like the car chase scene, I wasn't actually even expecting any of that shit in there, but we got a little bit of a car chase scene, which is okay.
I thought
They
it
were
was a good scene.
yeah.
Nice little stunt that goes in the water too. Yeah,
Mhm. Yeah.
very solid.
Yeah. And to be honest, man, like I thought the movie was acted well. It's the narrative it is what it is. I mean, you either like it or you don't. I don't think there's anything personally wrong with it. I think it's a tiny bit muddy, it's a tiny bit simple, but at the same time it's entertaining as fuck. Like I thought this one was really entertaining. I was never bored with this. But I mean, it's at the end of the day, I mean, you're staring at um what's her name, Caribou Cat, and she's just so hot. Like, dude, she's so fucking hot, man. Something about her, man. I don't know what it is. I always loved her. But then again, she's literally in one of my favorite Bond movies. So, yeah, fucking, she's beautiful, man. JP, what'd you think of it?
I thought it was decent. Probably my least favorite of the three. I'm actually having trouble remembering it right now. I think I watched these a little bit too early. Normally I wait till like day before. Um, but yeah, I thought it was I like there's not for the thing with like later um 80s stuff. I always expect there to be like a little more violence or like, you know, murder than we ended up getting in this one. Like this one feels like it has the aesthetic of an 80s film, but it has like the pace of and like the like content of like a 70s giallo type movie. Um I thought I mean it held my interest and I thought it was the lead was good and I thought it was, a decent enough movie, but it didn't really like do like crazy for me.
Hmm.
I felt like it was a little like action dense too, where like it definitely could have used a little bit more of that.
Yeah, I mean, I pretty much feel the same way. Like, I enjoyed it too, but it does feel like it played it safe in almost every aspect.
Yeah, it's pretty similar to my thoughts. Like I think it was fine. Like it's something like I'm like happy to watch once, but it's not something that like I could like ever see myself like going back to under unless it's under like weird circumstances. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
I mean, I probably liked it more than you because I
I would
would go
watch this
back to
again.
watch it.
I
Yeah, like
wouldn't not watch
I
it
re
again, but I can't see myself like just like looking at my shelf and being like, what do I want to watch today? And like that ever being the choice.
to me, this would be like the perfect like little random giallo to throw on in the background. Like if you're just trying to like have something going on because you really don't have to pay too much
And it's in
attention.
English, so you
It's
can
in
Yeah,
English, the
I did
music's good.
appreciate this was in English for sure.
Yeah, I was, I don't know. I like this movie. It's not special or anything, but I don't know. I enjoyed it the whole ride.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's definitely probably unpopular opinion, but this might even be my favorite one out of the three. Um,
that's
but yeah, that's
that
just me.
does surprise me.
Yeah, I like this one. I thought it was good. I do wish it was more of like the sleazy end of being a giallo, and the music. I mean, that's one thing about all three of these movies is that like this has a decent theme to it, but like man, the scores in all these movies, fuck me, man. For being in the '80s, dude, like you could have really done something special with it. I mean, it's kind of fucking crazy. Like this is the same year that Tenebrae came out.
Yeah.
And you look at the scores for these films, obviously, you're not getting Simonetti and shit like that, but like, it's
John
just, it
Steiner
makes,
too.
you got John Steiner, who's actually in Tenebrae, right? So it's like a world of difference. I'm telling you, man, like this makes a big fucking difference. I've had this conversation a couple times recently with people about how music can elevate a film to a totally different status, man.
For sure.
And it's amazing how having not good music in a film really takes you out of it. It really fucking takes you out of it. You can have a bad movie theoretically with great music that keeps you intrigued in it. And like, and I feel like all the scores in these movies are not good. So it's one thing that really kind of stands out as a whole in a box set,
Mm.
which is shocking to me because we're in the '80s, we're in that synthwave type era where you could have had some up tempo, like really cool synth scores and stuff, but we don't get them. It's unfortunate. So, but yeah. Anyways, what's JP? What do you give this one?
I gave it a 6.5 out of 10.
6.5. Okay, Tyler, what do you give this one?
I'm gonna come in 5-5 on this one.
Tony.
I'm gonna come in at a 6.
Fuck.
And I'm
Lower
surprised
than
that
me.
JP's the highest one. And it's your least favorite on the set. I love it.
Yeah.
Wow, that's crazy, dude. That's interesting. Um, yeah, I also give this one 6.5. So yeah, that was my rating on this one. So 6.5. I think it's decent. Nothing special. It is what it is on it, man. Um, all right, what's the next one? We're gonna jump forward in the 80s to 1987. Actually, both the next films are from 87, but this one says it came out first, so we'll just go with that. It's a film called Obsession, A Taste for Fear. Fuck. I feel like, okay, I think JP said that this one might be his favorite one. Anyways, we'll get into synopsis. Okay.
Yeah, I do.
A cop is assigned to catch a serial killer who is murdering his way through Rome's sexual underground. Okay, that's very basic. What does the other one say? Oh, it's way so long. I'm not reading that. All right, well, JP, why don't you start us off with this one?
Yeah, dude. I mean, this movie to me, I like this. Not only is it my favorite, I think it's the best, and I think it's actually like a really good movie. First of all, I really like how we're set in like the not too distant future. But it's
Mm.
very subtle. They don't make a big deal out of it.
They
And
never
it
tell
just
you.
it adds a sleekness to it that I like a lot. And sort of this like just slightly more in tune with our sexuality like future that I just thought was a cool aesthetic. And everything in the film looks silky or smooth or just like sexual. Like, and I think that all that was super intentional with the direction of the film. I also think that like the cinematography is by far the best in this one.
Yeah, I would agree with that
The
for sure.
like one of my favorite shots is the shot where the black girl goes in and sees like the white girl lead like crying, and because she has that like panic with the photography, and she, well, first of all, when she just shows up in the darkness like naked as hell, like just like super sexy in like the shadows, I just thought that looked so cool. And then the camera like goes under her and pulls out like right under her vagina and behind her ass, and I just am like,
Yeah,
dude, that is like just super creative. It just
I was
looks,
kind of shocked at how graphic that was.
yeah, yeah. And it's just like the music and like the whole vibes are just like on point for me, where I'm just like, this is just a cool movie. Like
Oh,
it's
I
like
thought
a
the music should have
cross.
been so much better in this, just because it is set in this kind of like, you know, it's in the future somewhere, right? Like the technology is obviously trying to play it off like it's set in the future and stuff like that. I just feel like the music should have represented that a little bit more for myself. I didn't feel like it was that great, but
I feel like it's kind of jazzy and has like the or like an erotic thriller vibe to it that I liked. And I
yeah.
think it has like a bluesy, like I don't know, just like a such a like saxophony sound to it to me. And it has like the it's basically a fucking music video. Like the movie is shot like a music video, and I think that was intentional. And I actually know that I did watch a little bit of the features on there,
Mm.
and I know that like it was kind of like this hybrid like music video-y type like site super sexual.
So what were they basing? Like, I'm curious because while I was watching this movie, I'm like, okay, it's obviously set in the future because they're using futuristic technology, in which
Mhm.
they were definitely ahead of the game on the video disc, which is fucking DVD. That's exactly what they were playing. That's crazy. But
I
Yeah.
actually,
like
DVD,
the
but in theory, DVDs were invented like I don't know if they were around in '87. They just weren't for the public, but there was the technology to have video on disc kind of thing because we already had CDs, and CDs actually were invented in the '70s, which is crazy. But yeah, the technology was interesting for me that they had that in there. I thought that was pretty interesting. I just feel like, oh, I don't know, man. I just don't. I honestly didn't really like the visuals were fine in the film for myself. The music didn't really do a lot for me. Getting that jazzy kind of score feels so early '90s to me, and I kept
It
thinking, I'm like,
does.
it
But
feels
that's why I like it, because it's ahead of its time. It looks like this movie is early 90s, like
yeah.
in terms of the aesthetic. And just I also just like the artsiness of like the photography and like you know, like I also give it props for having this like buff chick that doesn't really look super sexy, but they make her look super sexy uh throughout the movie. And it's just like there I feel like everything just oozes like sexuality in the entire movie. And it just the way that it's like textured on the screen is like different to me than stuff that we were seeing at the time. And I think that all works for me. Like the giallo aspects, you know, I thought were fine. There's like almost like a little bit of it reminded me a little bit of like what Argento was trying to do it later in his career with like the card player and Sleepless, which is kind of funny. But I think that like the the reveal's kind of like out there. I totally was trying to guess the killer the whole time, and I kept thinking I knew who it was, and it was just like I was just wrong.
Well, honestly, dude, like I thought it was between two people, and when the one person gets killed in the final scene, I'm like, well, I know who the killer is now.
I
But
actually
like
thought it was
it was
this guy,
between
like really early.
it was between two
Yeah, I
people.
thought it was so obvious.
It was two
Yeah.
people. It was
Really?
definitely two people,
Yeah.
and the one person was. It became so obvious it wasn't that person that I was like, it has to be that person. But like, yeah.
Are you
Anyways,
talking about the like the assistant?
yeah, the one that was trying to fall in love with her and stuff like that.
Yeah, I thought it
Who-
was totally gonna be her just because I didn't expect them to be like a twist. Like I
Well,
thought they were just
it could have
showing their
actually
cards.
it could have actually been her for like the longest time until they start getting involved, and then it just became so obvious it wasn't her. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But she's fucking beautiful, by the way. She's in one of the. We might actually be seeing her in high
Dude,
def on Friday
everybody's freaking beautiful in this movie, man.
When Cauldron announces their box set, which I believe is the Bravado Giallo box set with the Grave Art Disturbance and the Vampire and all. She's in one of those films. I can't remember which one it is, but she's so fucking hot in that movie too. I think she's so beautiful.
The assistant?
Yeah, she's
Oh my
in.
God. I was just like fucking drooling over
I've
her the
seen her
entire time.
So she's in one of those films. I think it's fuck. I can't remember which one it is, but she's so fucking hot in that movie, dude. So hot, and it's made around the same time as this, dude. 1988, I think.
Did
But
you
yeah,
guys
this,
mention that the first shot in this movie had nudity in it?
yeah.
Yeah. Well, no, we
Okay.
didn't mention it, but
Well, we didn't, but like this one definitely
I
steps
talked
up.
a lot about the sexuality of the
Yeah.
movie.
For
I
the-
just thought that was funny coming off of the next one, and then this one, the first shot of this movie, is just boobs, and you're like, all right, here we go.
Yeah, I actually have that written down. I said, oh yeah, we at least we're starting out with titties now. No, it starts out with fucking titties and muff like right off the bat, and I was like, yeah, that's fucking awesome. This movie to me was like, it's an interesting idea of setting in the future with this creative technology and stuff, and the aesthetic of the film is pretty cool. I just feel like it doesn't know if it wants to be fully sci-fi because it has those elements to it, or giallo, or to the point where the narrative goes into such erotic thriller territory. I'm like, man, this thing has so many different elements happening, which isn't really my problem with the movie. I just I
Dude, I'm
don't
actually shocked that you didn't like it or well, not like it, but like feel as strong about it as I do. I think it's like really fucking good. Like
I don't know.
I don't know. I just it's so engaging to look at throughout the entire movie. Like even just
Even-
side scenes are beautiful.
I think I just
And
wanted.
even the shit that's ugly and dated, you're just like entranced by like the stupid fucking car she drives in. You're just like, what the fuck? Like you're just like enamored by this crap, and like the computer fucking
It was a
technology in this
spruced up
movie
golf
is
cart.
insane.
It was
I
a
like
spruced up golf cart. Is
I
what
like
it
the
was.
translation, like the voice translation to like the robot voice that was like in like early on in the movie with like the Asian guy. That had me confused, like what the fuck was going on. I realized he had like a thing in his pocket that like translated like what he said in a robot voice.
The
Yeah.
technology
Yeah,
on the
like-
computers, though, is like it's so. I mean, it probably didn't even look good in 1987, to be honest. But
Yeah.
I'm not gonna
Yeah,
fault
like-
it. It is what it is. It is what it is. The one scene that really made me laugh, though, is when we first get introduced to the blonde muscle girl that becomes like the model that gets killed and stuff. There's a scene where she's in the club and she's like arm wrestling some dude, and I'm like, she's totally arm wrestling fucking John Belushi from the Blues Brothers, but of course he was dead at this point. But it just made me laugh out loud to myself. I'm like, that's John Belushi right there, because like everybody in that scene, it feels like you're watching a Halloween, like a costume party, but it's just the way it's supposed to be. It's futuristic, and I'm like, everyone's dressed up as like a character. You know what I mean? It felt so surreal. It felt so sci-fi and unbelievable to me. I was like, because it's supposed to be grounded in this like serious alternate, like, futuristic world, but I was coming off as being comical to me because I couldn't unsee John Belushi. I couldn't unsee all these people that are dressed up like how in Halloween costumes, but it was like supposed to be the natural attire of this futuristic time. I'm like, what in the fuck am I watching, dude? I laughed so many times throughout this film. Like, I don't know what the fuck it was. I guess I was just not expecting, coming from what we would call a pretty serious Giallo-esque film, to watching this futuristic, what the fuck are we watching, erotic thriller. And I'll be honest too, like, I like the idea of like what, the ex-boyfriend was doing with his setup and his giddy, and, trying to exploit, the whole sexual aspect of things and stuff. But like, to be honest, I'm repulsed by bondage. So like that aspect of it is like disgusting to me. I hate bondage stuff. You throw whips and chains and spikes, and it doesn't get heavy into that stuff, but like they keep referring to it as bondage and stuff. I'm not a big fan of that. And plus, I always feel like the aspect of like, I get softcore porn is more, I guess it's more, you can sell it a little bit easier than hardcore porn. It's more, I don't know what the word I'm looking for is. It's a little bit more sexy, I guess, when you shoot softcore than, hardcore, for me, I just, fuck it, just go hardcore.
Well, I mean, I don't mind that either, but yeah, I don't know, like just the way that it's shot, it feels like it like cover like it can it like the camera, like I don't know, it feels like it hovers over the shapes of the bodies and stuff like that, and it really accentuates them. I don't know. It completely
It feels like
know,
a straight erotic thriller.
Yeah.
I think it would have worked a lot better.
That was really common.
Yeah. I think it would have worked a lot
You're
better,
right,
though.
though. That's really crazy thinking about that.
I think it would have worked a lot better because like this movie has so many specs that are good. Like I like the lighting. You're right. The cinematography has its moments. I feel like there's a couple moments where I'm like, okay, whatever. But I think that like kill wise and violence wise, this one misses the mark big time. Everything is off screen. And it really hurts the film. I think if you mix the whole, because they show a lot of the smut, it's sleazy enough that I feel like if you mix the violence and the smut and the bondage angle with the virtual violence on screen, I think this works so much more effective because it then becomes sex and violence, right? I feel like you focus so much more on the smut element, which I'm fine with, but you need to balance it out with the violent aspect because everyone that's dying, for the most part, with the exception of maybe a couple deaths, are on screen. The gore is not really, it's not great. The blood's not great. It's mostly off screen. And I think it hurt the film a lot for myself. I think it would have been so much more effective to combine those two and just make it a lot more.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that I ever will be like, no, there's too many kills or there's too much gore in this. So, I mean, I will always take more kills. I think it will always.
It's not even the kills. There's kills in the film. It's just they don't show anything. Like, but when our muscle girl gets killed, I get like there's a mystery to it, but you can still show something.
You see some of that later in the tape, though, right? Like you see her get her throat slit.
Right.
A lot of I think a lot of the point was like to reveal it through like the tapes.
Yeah.
Probably.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely.
Yeah, you're right with that one. But like, I feel. Yeah, I mean,
I do agree with you on that point, though. If you would have amped up the violence a little bit, you kind of maybe would have had like your own like little like futuristic De Palma.
I even have that written down. They even killed her on, or they showed the camera, or the kill on the neck slit on the camera because of that. It's funny. I even have it written down. I don't use my notes half the time. But you know what I actually thought was really interesting, because last film we talked about James Bond and like how they even mentioned 007. We have a Bond girl. They actually reference James Bond movie again in this when they talk about they make the Live and Let Die quote, or they reference Live and Let Die, but there's actually a girl in this that actually was in The Living Daylights, which came out, I believe, the same year as this too. Which is fucking crazy.
Damn, that's fucking crazy.
Right,
yeah, so back-to-back movies with James Bond, and I'm like, what the fuck? I'm like, and so I'm watching the third film going, where the fuck is the Bond reference or a Bond film?
You
I
gotta
also
admit though,
thought the
dude.
end credits felt Bond-like in this movie too,
I think there's a Bond
because
influence in this one too.
it had the music plus there's just so much like slow motion, like dancing women figures in the background, like you would.
Right. Exactly. Yeah, good point. Good
Yeah.
point. And
You gotta admit though, for this being like this guy's only directorial effort, like he kind of did like some fucking really impressive shit, filming wise.
it's definitely different. I can't think of like
Yeah.
a giallo slash erotic thriller from any time at this point that deals with such a lot of technology.
Futuristic.
Yeah, the
Futuristic
technology
technology type film.
definitely.
Like, I mean, it just didn't really
Yeah.
happen. There was a lot of futuristic technology type films around this time, especially this time.
I
I
think
mean,
it's also like I think like the messaging in it too is like about sort of like sexual liberation and like sort of like
Mhm.
no boundaries and like sort of hippie freedom
it
of
was
like
about
just
freedom of expression though too, because they focus on that
yeah,
quite a bit
and that.
about being hassled for, you're doing legal shit, but people, just because you don't agree with it doesn't mean that you have to be, you have to be fucking condemned for it. Right. And it was about freedom of expression, and which has always been a big topic when it comes to sexuality. Right. So yeah, that definitely plays a big focus in the film for sure.
Yeah. I
So
felt like this
I think I came up
was
on this one a little bit actually. You guys persuaded me. I think I'm a little bit higher on it now.
yeah. I feel like this was probably the most ambitious film of anything you watch, and it's funny because you would like it's definitely has most impressive cinematography and some of the like footage in this movie. I think you'd expect me to pretty much be blowing, but I will say like yes, like a lot of this was like very well like shot, but I kind of got the feeling watching this movie. Some of it was that it was almost a little much, and it kind of felt like it was like at times to be trying to be like stylistic and fancy for the sake of it without really like adding to the product. And I think that that's something. Oh, like it maybe if he would have been able to tie it together like moods and stuff, like a little bit more violence, it would have blended together well. Like to me, this is definitely like the nicest made movie and the most ambitious and maybe like impressively produced movie. But I also think it's like probably the biggest mess of all the movies, if that makes any sense. But
I just
even
think if
out,
you compare it to something like, you know, like a Basic Instinct where, like, it's highly
mm,
sexualized, but it has the very violent aspect of it too, right? It has that visceral kind of violent
one
aspect
movie
to
that
it.
kind of came to mind when I was watching this of like that also like kind of like like has that same thing as like In the Cut, which is also like a film that has like that same type of like about like liberation and like and like women in danger and it kind of like
Mhm.
really like exploits like the woman at lone thing and like that movie's like very sexual. There's like a ton of like male and female nudity in it.
Right.
I don't have much else on this one.
I'm sticking with her car looks like a souped up golf cart though.
It looks like a Johnny Cab from Total
Total
Recall.
Recall. Fuck, dude, I even have that reference in here. I'm like,
That's fucking
dude, not the
sweet.
Johnny Cab thing, but I felt like there was moments in this film that kind of felt Total Recall-ish to me. It's weird.
The
But yeah,
sound effects, like for how well like the movie was shot and shit, the sound effects in this movie were so fucking cheesy and like 1950s sci-fi because it was just like whooshes and fucking for like all the fucking doors and shit. It was just so distracting to me.
right.
But it did
Yeah.
look nice. I did love all the lighting and shit.
Yeah, like it's very good.
And of course, I love HLA.
Yeah, there's a lot of, I mean, I shouldn't think of time, but like, I mean, it gets pretty sexual and stuff. But I just like the reveal though, makes me laugh.
Yeah,
I
that
like
made me
I like
laugh.
the way the killer's defeated in this movie.
Yeah.
Literally a bitch slap. And then that's it.
Dude, I'm like, did the cop just walk in there and slap the shit out of, I'm not going to say the name, and arrest him? That was it. And then
It's probably all it
LOL.
took.
That's literally what I have
Yeah.
written down. That's my note. Because I'm like, I
Yeah.
started laughing so hard that I'm like, he just walked in there, slapped the shit out of this character, and then fucking walked out.
It's about
Yeah,
all
that's
it
it.
took.
Killer. Killer defeated via bitch slap.
Yeah, it was pretty simplistic actually because generally the reveal doesn't work well for that person. They usually end up dying in like a dummy death or something like that.
Yeah.
No, this one, that should be a whole new category: dummy deaths versus like bitch slapping someone. Fucking funny. Not the same level.
Would we count Halloween Resurrection as bitch slapping Michael Myers to death?
Yeah. Could fall into the category for sure. Yeah. Um. All right, Tyler, what do you got on this one?
I'll give this one credit for its ambition, but I feel similarly to this one was the last one, whereas I enjoyed it for watching it once, but it's not something I think I'd really like reach for again. I'm gonna go with a 6 on this one.
Tony.
I'm also gonna go with the 6. I liked it probably just as much as the last one. Like for me, it's well made. I enjoyed watching it. I did like all the futuristic aspects, but for me, the worst part about the movie is the Giallo aspect, and that kind of like brings it down for me. But I did
Yeah, I
like it
think in
overall.
general, this being a Giallo box set kind of like puts a damper on these films because like none of them are really like Giallo
Yeah.
heavy.
Like they
Yeah.
have the elements. That's the thing. They're
Yeah.
just
They have like a
elements.
kiss of Giallo in them.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But yeah, just like Mystere, it's just a fun little curiosity, like oddity of a Giallo that I would just like to have in the background. So like I do like the movie and I'm glad to have it in my collection.
I'm also at a 6 on this one. So
I'm at an 8.
Damn.
I really like this one.
good Lord. Wow. I okay. Crazy.
And you know what? I
You
did
like
look
that
up
coochie shot?
I loved that coochie shot. I thought that
That's
was a
good
great shot.
That really
Um,
that was like,
dude,
I was
I-
like, wow.
Okay, one thing I'm not attracted to women that are like really fucking built like that. But when they're bent over and you can see like hairs kind of sticking out and shit, you're just
Yeah,
like,
I was just like impressed by the way they were able to move the camera.
What
and,
was
like,
wrong with her
maneuver.
build?
dude.
She wasn't that big. That was the
He's-
black girl, right? She
Yeah, we're
wasn't-
talking about the black girl.
Oh, I was
Not
talking
the-
about.
not
I was
the
no, I was talking about the white, the bodybuilder
Yeah.
chick when the
No,
scene
no,
where
I'm
the
talking
scene where
about
they're
the black
filming
girl,
her
dude.
and and she's got her leg up in the air and like she admits that she's trying to make her
Well,
fall.
I was talking about the scene where the camera goes under the girl's vagina,
Oh yeah.
like the
Yeah.
bare naked woman.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was pretty impressive how like they were able to move the camera all around the scene and then just, like finish it by going up and through
Yeah.
her legs to the point
Bro,
you just, like,
I was
outline
talking
it.
about
Yeah, and
the
I'm
scene.
like, dude, that's a first time filmmaker. That's like pretty like,
Right.
cool.
That's peak erotic thriller, and erotic thriller was
He was living out fantasies right there, man, and he knew what he wanted to do with that one. But I was talking about
Yeah.
like the bodybuilder chick when our photographer's filming her and like she's got her leg up there and it pans behind her and like you can see like not good stuff. So
I would say that I normally would like agree with you, but man, you guys, does anybody else see the movie Love Lies Bleeding at the beginning of the year?
Uh-uh.
They made
No.
that
What?
they made that muscle mommy look pretty good.
Oh yeah, I'm
I
a
think
big
I
fan
watched
of both the muscle mommies than this one
Yeah.
and that one.
I think I ended up
Fucking-
watching that one actually.
I totally get that guy passing out on the theater. Like that I laughed
Oh,
so
hell
hard
yeah.
at that 'cause, like I totally get like, oh, he's just
Oh.
like I can't hold it anymore.
She's such a babe.
What the hell was I gonna say? I can't remember.
All right. Well, on that note, we'll move into the third and final one here, also from 1987, which is entitled Sweets from a Stranger. Synopsis. A serial killer is terrifying the prostitutes of a big Italian city. After a few barbaric murders, 4 prostitutes, Lena, Angela, Nadine, and Stella, decide to unite and try to defend themselves. The police and all the other prostitutes agree with the quartet and hunt for the cruel serial killer is on. I mean, that's not, I mean, there's technically 5 people that are involved, so I don't know where they get the 4, but
Seems like there's like fucking 30 people involved.
like 5 main because there's like the head of the prostitutes. This movie has a really weird idea of prostitution. It's like it's almost like the 22 shots. It's like a huge collective that like is organized and they're almost like,
It's almost like a union.
Yeah, they're
Yeah.
like a union of
Honestly,
dude, that's
honestly,
fucked up. I had
like,
that written
in
down.
certain-
I literally have that written down. That's so fucking crazy. You use the term union process because I have that written down. It's so funny.
You know what they
Um,
kind of reminded me of? The girls from A Gun for Jennifer.
that I was literally thought
yeah,
that the
Yeah,
whole
it's
time
very
it's
too.
like
similar.
it's like a Giallo rape squad.
Yeah.
I
But
did,
that's actually not
yeah.
very uncommon for there to be like a clique of prostitutes in certain, especially like bigger locations where prostitution is very heavy. They kind of stick together, watch each other's backs and stuff, and share info and shit like that. It's pretty common, honestly. I've watched a couple prostitution documentaries in my lifetime.
I really like this though that they
Yeah.
don't they're not like the what a lot of people call like the weak prostitutes that have pimps that let basically control them and stuff. They control their own destinies. Like they're their own collective. They're their own union. They watch each other's backs. Something goes wrong, they go on the hunt. I love that shit, man. It shows the just because their nature of their profession isn't respected by everybody that they can't treat it like it's a real profession kind of thing, right? They take pride in what they do. I
Yeah.
like that, man, and they really shows in the characters, man. They're everyone's like a really, really strong character. They believe in the cause. They believe in what they're doing.
And they also feel like they're on their own to an extent,
Oh, for
you
sure.
know.
I thought that was like a big theme in this movie where it
Yeah,
was like they're not respected by like greater society, but like it goes to lengths of like showing like to like really like humanize all these girls. So like so you as the viewer like see them as like women before you see them as like prostitutes. And then
Mhm.
like this like whole banding together to basically like solve the murders like out of their own interests and like to do it on their own, like when nobody else will help them because of who they are. I thought was like pretty cool.
hmm
Hmm. Got such
Also,
modern
well,
leanings.
it's
Yeah.
yeah.
It's a lot more relevant
Dude, this
2024
whole
than it
box
is
set
then.
is like very like pro feminism.
it's
Yeah,
pro
it
feminist
Yeah.
really
hardcore.
is. Yeah.
I really like this. Like the characters in this film are so fucking strong, and I mean, they just have that attitude. Like no one's gonna fight for us. We have to do it ourselves. But they never seem weak in it, though. I love that. I think it's
The
fantastic.
the ending gets like really screwbally, but
Mhm.
I kind of called the
Well, it's that whole aspect of like there's always kind of like that bad apple within like maybe a good collective or a good thing, kind of thing. Like there's somebody doing some shit that's not on the level, but it's also I think a product of I think maybe what happens sometimes. Like I mean, there's a really vicious scene in this fucking film where there's a prostitute like basically calls her daughter like she's like starts throwing shit at her and stuff and she's like you're no better than me and then they have this close up of her crying and I was like, "Oh my God." Like it's
yeah,
fucking
it
powerful
gets
and it was
kind
brutal.
of dark with that stuff. But I like the fact that the killer was riding like a bicycle was wild. And I gotta say, like, I really hated like the slashes in this movie. It literally just looked like someone held a razor blade out in front of the camera and was just like
Yeah, the kills are not great
doing
in this
this.
movie.
So
And they
what
would
do-
just like
Mhm.
shoot blood off like,
Yeah, literally slicing
so what do I
left and
have?
right.
Did the way the first kill shot with the razor blade going back and forth was awful. That's my note.
Well, there's another. I think
it's,
there's
I thought
it's,
it was
it's literally
pretty
this.
funny
It's
that,
literally
like,
this over and over again.
I thought it was pretty funny how they're on the bike though, and they're like, "Hope," that you just see like the razor at the end of the
well,
handle.
first you see the bike
I
like
like
run
it.
into them while they're on the ground. They just like
The
they
first
fucking just
shot of the bike coming was really cool and is really like it's a really cool shot that was like nicely backlit. Like I wish they leaned into the bicycle more into the movie,
yeah.
honestly.
Speaking of good shots, who loved that sequence of them like rolling up in their cars and then like just like lining up all like militant, and then they would all come to the front of their cars with like guns. It was that
Yeah.
scene
Yeah,
was
it
like
shows,
Actually,
it shows
shot
the
and
power in the
directed
collective.
there's
so
some
well.
really good cinematography at the end of the movie in the bathroom.
I just like thought that scene was like so like, and the music sounded like freaking like the bridge on the River Kauai, and then like they're also lining up to like be like militant. I thought that was so cool. I thought that scene like had like so much like charm to it.
It remind some of the like later shots in the movie reminded me of like a less good like De Palma or something.
Mhm.
Um, like there's a really cool shot in the bathroom where like the camera goes into the little mirror and you're watching what's happening from the mirror, and I just thought that was really cool. I've seen stuff like that before, but it kind of fit for that scene.
You know what drove me nuts? Like right off the beginning of the movie, I was like, I think this movie might be decent. And then you get like this kill in the park and stuff like that. And I'm like, okay, well, that kill scene was pretty fucking ridiculous. Actually, it was really, really bad with the razor.
There's a whole nother one that does the same thing with the
Yeah.
razor.
So we get that scene, but then right after it pans to like a newspaper article. And it's in the headline, we get to, by the way, this movie's subtitles, so you got to read the subtitles.
Yeah, this was
So the
one.
newspaper's in Italian, and it has a header for that, and it says, prostitute or robbery was ruled out because 3 million lire was found in purse. And I was like, really? Like they fucked that up hardcore. So this scene is this prostitute who is in the park, and she's getting pursued by a killer, and she's got a dog in her hand, and she fucking selfishly puts the fucking dog down and just fucking runs
Ditches the
off, like,
fucking dog immediately.
ditches the fucking, and I'm like, what kind of bitch would just ditch your fucking dog?
I
Like the
really
dog is not
laughed
going to
at
hinder
that
you
part.
running away.
Yeah, but the
The
dog will
second
get
she
to
sees the
safety.
racer.
Now the guy's
Yeah.
not going to kill the dog too.
I remember he's not gonna kill the dog anyway. Come on.
But my
Hey,
point,
maybe she thinks she's saving the dog by
That's-
being
that's
like,
what I
here,
said.
you like run spot.
Yeah.
whatever. If I had my dog with me,
I
he
was
would be coming with me.
Hold on a second.
Because
You
in my
drop the
mind-
dog
Wow,
here?
dude, Mood's a piece of shit. He's going to get his dog killed.
No, in my
What an
mind,
asshole.
no, in my
Dude,
mind,
you're fucked up. Like, you should always protect the dog. Like, that's crazy you would do that.
no, because in
let
my
the dog
mind,
protect you.
I would never put the dog down, because if I hold on to the dog, I'm going to get away. I'm never going to be killed in the first place. So I'm going to
Yeah,
save
you
my dog
would.
too. No, I wouldn't. But anyways,
Honestly, that's not a real good dog because didn't really protect its owner. It kind of just sat there and watched. What
Well,
kind of a
I think it was
dog is
like-
that?
That dog was like 8 pounds.
so anyways, the point of me
little fucking toy poodle.
the point of me bringing this up was not about the fucking dog. It was about the mistake in the movie. So the dog was
Yeah,
the
the mistake
segue
of
into
you
it.
taking the dog and getting it
No,
killed.
so fuck, man. This fucking prostitute fucking has a dog in her hand. She puts it down. She gets dead. Jump
Yeah.
forward to the
And
next
guess
scene.
what? Dog lived. You would get dead and your dog would get dead. See?
No, it's nothing to do with the dog. So, anyways, the newspaper reads robbery ruled out because prostitute had 3 million lire in her purse. And I went, what the fuck? She was never carrying a purse. She was carrying a dog. She never had a purse anywhere near her. That's a total fuck up. Prove me wrong. She never had a purse on her. So I'm like, well, right
Maybe it's
there,
a
that's a
plant.
total fuck up in the film. But
Well,
whatever. it is what it is.
some places call wallets purses as well.
She didn't have fuck, dude. It says specifically purse. No, purse
Yeah,
and
but
wallet are two
some
different.
places call wallets purses.
No,
She
no.
had a
Some
wallet in her
countries call
pocket.
dogs purses too.
Yeah, the
It's her
Italians
prison purse.
call purses. It's a big thing in Italy. It's purses. So trust me. But anyways, the point is she didn't have a
I
fucking
don't
purse on her.
trust you. I don't
They're
believe
talking about her prison purse.
Of course, I'm the only one that noticed that because I'm the only one that notices stupid ass shit like that. But anyways, it was a fuck up in
it.
the
No,
film. And I was
Jeremy
like,
used to.
and I'm like, well, okay, so this movie's gonna be dog shit after that. No, I'm just joking. But I don't know, man. I was liking this movie at points, and other points I was like, fuck, dude. I think this is one of the most. It's like a ridiculous reveal, but it's also a very ballsy reveal because you don't see this very often in films. You really don't. Like, how many movies can you actually say this happens in?
None.
Pretty fucking rare. It's very ballsy, but and it's like a dark film too. It's like super super dark. Like it gets into the psychology of why the reveal's there and like what's happening and stuff. I'm like, holy fuck, like this is crazy. It's just sad. Like, I mean, this movie comes off being so strong and stuff like that, and you have this type of shit that happens. I'm like, what the fuck? It almost to me felt a little bit counterproductive, like maybe in the message that it was trying to prevail, but at the same
You're
time,
actually right. You're
Yeah.
like 100% right about it. Because how could you be like such a pro-feminist thing? Be like sex working is such like it's a noble job and everything. Like we're civil servants, like they say that in the movie. But then yeah, you're right. The
Yeah.
end of the movie completely contradicts that.
Yeah. And so like it kind of threw me for a loop there, and I was like, oh my God, dude, I was really enjoying this for what it was besides the ridiculous kill scenes. And I was like, I'm not really too sure how I feel about this now. So yeah. But anyways, what are you guys' thoughts on it?
I mean,
I
I've been giving
liked
mine
it.
along the way.
Yeah,
So
Uh,
like for me, like it's just the same. It's pretty much the same old song and dance, just like the other two Gialli in this set. Like it has a good foundation, but it's just muddled with so much random like cobbled shit thrown together.
yeah.
Like, do we really need some like prostitution like vigilante squad? Like it's cool. Like I'm glad that it exists. Like I'd rather have like this one movie than it just conform to all the other like giallo like cliches. But I don't know. I feel you. Like there's some parts that are good, some parts that are slow.
They got really interesting ideas within like the prostitution realm, like how they're connected through like a phone service and stuff, and like how people can find them through this. It's not, you don't generally have to be like right on the streets and stuff like that. Like you can, it's like this weird phone circuit network and stuff. And I was like, I've never seen that before. I've never even heard of that before. Like the whole phone thing was
It's
really odd.
funny that you
Yeah.
It's funny that you mentioned that too, because just like in the last movie, some asshole goes up to that girl and he's like, "You're using this line. If you want to use this line, you need to pay me this." And she's like, "How about I fuck you instead?"
Right.
Oh
Yeah, it's
yeah.
like another one
Right.
of those situations.
Yeah. Like
How weird.
it is weird. Like, and I just felt like that was due to the fact that they were so, they it kind of elevated the profession. They didn't have to fully streetwalk. They could actually hide what they're doing a little bit with these phone lines, but they could also be found through that way too. It was really weird. Like it was a weird part of the narrative. I thought that was kind of intriguing but odd at the same time. It just felt like, it gets to the point where it almost turns like it's straight like act of vengeance, like the rape squad kind of thing. It's like vigilante prostitutes, right? Which I, I just wish it had have been. I like the reveal for its absurdity, like who is doing it. I don't really like the idea of why it's there. I really wish it had went a different angle, like and just kind of played that whole vigilante prostitution thing, and just kind of went with that. I think that would have been a lot more fun. It would have been a lot more fun, like because they were already organized. It would have played a lot better into what the characters are. The strong feminism, stick together as a gang, and you do shit as a gang, kind of thing, as a coalition. And I just feel like there's a lot of things that work in the film. There's a lot of things that don't. The music, for one thing, is horrible in this movie. It's actually fucking terrible. Which is another problem with this movie. I feel like it could have been so much amped up. Like it could have felt so much better with just a better score. It's not there. It's
Do you
really
remember that scene where they're like driving like in a convoy, like when they go to the park to go out to like flash the bushes or whatever?
Yeah.
Like the fucking music that they're driving just sounds like some fucking Yankee Doodle ass
Yeah,
shit.
it sounds like the bridge on the River Kwai, like right
Oh,
there
is that
when
what
they're
that was?
marching. Yeah, like it's not the same thing, but it's a play on it. Like think about Spaceballs when they're like
Right, it's
marching
such
through the
like
desert. Yeah, that's like a play on that
royalty
movie.
free version that you get in
Yeah,
like fucking, oh my God, that was insane. That whole
I like.
scene.
I love that scene. That's probably my favorite scene in the movie. Like I love the way like they all just like the way the camera pans across, like frame perfectly. What you they all like it's sync the time wise is like sync perfect where they all pull up and they like just march to the front of their car with like their weapons as it goes down the line. I like
right.
that. Yeah, that was a joy to watch. And they're all just like in their gear, like strutting their stuff. It was like kind of a cool contrast. I liked it.
You know what I thought about after we got there? Like I'd finished the movie and I was thinking about the film, and I actually laughed out loud to myself, and I was like, okay, so they explain away why these prostitutes were being killed because they were kind of like, they were cows. They actually legitimately call them cows, kind of thing, right?
Oh yeah, the air gun. We didn't even
And
like mention that.
hence the bolt killer. So
yeah, I
the
totally
kills,
forgot about
the
the
kills
air
are
gun.
so bizarre in this film. Like we'd mentioned before, like it's literally just a knife slashing throats or whatever, slashing up. But then after the prostitute was dead, the killer would put like a almost like a cattle prong, like a cattle killer or whatever, like those things where you shoot the
Yeah, it's
bolts
just
into
the
something.
air.
Boom.
Yeah, it's like a bolt action thing. It's supposed to kill whatever but they would shoot into like the
Was that a
torso.
Franklin reference?
Yeah, they got them air guns. Nah, the sledge is better. They die better that way.
And I'm like,
I thought the gun was better.
Nah, I thought the gun was better.
it's just funny that he's actually wearing a Leatherface shirt right now too. It's go figure. End up
Yeah.
referencing fucking TCM. So, um, but I just thought it was really interesting because I never caught on to it right when the film ended. But I was like, so the killer went to those lengths to basically double kill the victims, and I'm like, but once you think about what the reveal is, you're like, really? It seems so absurd.
It is
that
absurd.
that person would be doing that. Like, it's ridiculous. Like, they explain, like, I do like the explanation in the end with, you know, the personality, like the schizophrenia, the double personality and stuff. Like, they explain that away. I'm like, okay, fine, that works. It might not be a real thing. Who knows? It probably is, because, you know, trauma's a motherfucker, right? Trauma causes a lot of, you know, issues mentally. But I couldn't get over thinking about this bolt thing. I'm like, it's like literally overkill. Quite literally the meaning of overkill.
Yeah, like why? Like it doesn't need to be there.
Because
Well,
they're cows,
it
dog.
would have made more sense to me to use that as
It's
the killing device.
metaphorical.
Yeah,
No, you don't
you're
need
right,
you don't need the knives. Then use the
yeah,
bolt
that's
killer,
the dumbest thing.
because
but
they
it's
explain
hard,
it
it's
away as
hard
the
to
cow
kill
killer.
someone with that while they're moving.
Well, I
Because
mean, if you knocked,
if you
hell
miss,
no.
then you gotta fucking
Have you seen
cock
a
it
No
and
Country
everything.
for
I was
Old
gonna
Men?
say, you gotta
Motherfucker
get-
walks around with
Yeah,
a
that
tank.
dude's
Yeah,
a professional assassin, not a
But
fucking
this-
He doesn't
but
get-
this
he
killer
doesn't
could
get
do the
any
same
real
thing.
nothing either. He just like shoots people in the head when like they don't know what's going on.
but this killer could have done the same thing, because nobody would have suspected. I guess in every scene, the person is like, that's always running. They're like, except for maybe one, but I think this person could have walked up to them and bolt acted them. You know what I mean? It would have
Yeah,
probably
but then
worked.
you don't get the fear of chasing them.
Right.
It's
Make
really
him-
funny
make him
I
that
would have
the
suffer
loved
for
like
their-
Well, the
that
old
was
lady-
so funny.
The
though.
old hooker,
Just
she
bullying
seems
girls.
friendly with her. She's like, hey, what are you doing? And all of a sudden she's like, oh, she got dead.
Well, you notice that like the one time the killer goes to like shoot someone that's alive, it doesn't fucking work.
Right, and it fucks up.
Yeah.
Isn't that funny?
Right.
The
they
one time
found
they
a
actually
way
try
to-
to kill somebody with it.
If
Right,
they
that
found
is
a way
true.
to use that as like the sole weapon, that would be so funny. And then just like knowing No Country for Old Men, like whoa.
Yeah, that'd have been crazy.
I do like the, you know, the whole aspect of like the female empowerment in the film and stuff like that. And like, dude, there's a scene. Fucking, I don't know if you guys got this, but there's a scene where the camera pans around to like all the prostitutes and stuff, and they're like all like acting all tough and shit like that. And there's this, it pans in on this one girl's crotch, and it's like these small little underwear, and the muff's just like hanging out everywhere. I'm just like, oh my god!
Oh
it's
yeah,
so,
we saw that.
it's so
They
exploitive. It's
made, they made
just funny
sure we
too.
saw it all.
I'm like, oh my god, that's so. I actually
They
burst out
probably
laughing. I'm
never
like, that's
thought it would
good.
look so good. Like they never thought like someone's gonna clean it up like 40 years later.
Oh,
and,
dude,
like
it
make it
is
look
just-
nice.
It was just busting out everywhere. I was like, oh my god, that's so funny, so sleazy.
Like imagine
But-
like showing this disc to someone in like 1988. Like what the fuck?
But again, you know, a
Did we
movie
even
about
mention
prostitutes.
that it was Franco Ferrini that directed this?
Yeah, no, I actually didn't. But you know, surprisingly, not as sleazy as you think it would be. You know,
Yeah,
again,
it's-
dealing
yeah.
dealing with prostitutes, like there's sleazy shots. Like some of the cinematography focuses on a little bit sleazy, but it's not overly that sleazy. But but yeah, no, yeah, Franco Fernini directed this one. What was the last? This is the only directing. He only directed this. Holy
yeah,
shit!
this is it. He's only written shit. Isn't that
You're
crazy?
Right. Because he's literally wrote some of our favorite movies of all time, like Once Upon a Time in America, Phenomena, Demons. Like we just talked about Dark Glasses. Like, come on, man. We just talked about a bunch of these movies. What else did he do?
Let's see.
Good Lord, he did The Card Player. He wrote the story or the screenplay. Sleepless, which is I think is super underrated, but he did Trauma. He did the screenplay.
Once Upon a
for-
Time in America. He's a writer on that.
Yeah,
Crazy.
Two Evil Eyes. He did the Black Cat segment. He did The Church. He did Dial Help, which is a Ruggero Deodato film that I really enjoy.
Now D for Demons.
He did Opera. JP's rocking the shirt of that right now. He did Demons 2. Oh my god, dude. I didn't realize he had done that much work with Argento. Crazy.
Yes, fucking legend. This
And-
the only movie he ever directed,
Argento and Bava. I mean,
and he wanted that muff shot in frame in your face.
but the fact that he's involved with demons is like, it's like fucking legendary. I mean, he was in love with a lot of legendary films, but demons, come on, man. Shit's crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah.
So,
So So, anything else?
I don't know if I had anything else. I think I might have.
I got one more thing. Did you guys
Nope.
think it was funny when that one old lady like bitch slapped that kid for calling her a skank?
Oh,
Yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah,
absolutely.
yeah, yeah. She
That
just
was like
smacks
the
her and walks off, and then the
yeah,
kid's
she's
just
like,
sitting
you
there.
skank, smack. This is
Dude,
like a little
I have it
fucking
written
like
somewhere.
8-year-old kid.
Yeah.
That's like the funniest shit I've seen.
The fact that she uses the word skank too is so fucking funny. Is that in the church? Is that the church scene?
Yeah, that
Yeah.
was the church scene.
Okay,
It
yeah.
was like a 6-year-old child calling her a skank.
Yeah. I just love when she walks around to like collect the money and stuff. She like looks at her and keeps walking by. I'm like, oh my God, here we go. Getting alienated. This is not gonna turn out good. Yeah. Yeah. Um Tony, you're up.
Um, so I like this movie just as much as the other ones. To me, I feel like this movie is probably shot the best. And specifically, I'm
Lies.
talking like the night scenes. I really love like the fall atmosphere in this movie we didn't talk about. There's so much like fucking like heavy winds and blowing leaves and all this shit in the night scenes, and I really dug that. But it's convoluted just like the other two movies. Like there's just themes out the ass. Like if you buy into it, that's cool. But I did just as much as the other ones, and it gets another 6, just like the other ones.
Yeah, I'm also at a 6 on this one. I just think that
Triple
like it
sixes.
should like I feel like it could be a little bit more sleazy. I get why it's not overly that sleazy completely, but I feel like it probably could have been. I just my biggest complaint with the movie though is like it really does lack in suspense. Like it has kills, but like they're almost laughable once you get the reveal. It's kind of ridiculous. It doesn't feel like a Giallo at all. It does feel like more of a vengeance type film, which is not really a bad thing. It just doesn't do it as well as you think you would like to see. But it's not your typical Giallo. It's not filled with red herrings and stuff. It's just kind of like A to B with a reveal. It's okay. I give it a 6. So
Who's
Yeah.
next?
JP.
Oh,
Yeah, I probably like this a little better than you guys. Like, this is my second favorite of the bunch. Um, I give it a 7.
Cool.
yeah, I thought pretty feel pretty similar to this as the other two, whereas I'm fine to watch it once, but I don't think it's something I see myself jumping back towards. But this probably was my favorite of the three, just, like kind of strictly on the fact I felt like this one had the most charm to it. They all kind of like have little things I like about them, but they all like also their own flaws. But I guess I probably like this one the best, though, but I'm also going to be at a 6.
This had a bunch of like goofy moments that I like too. Like there was like a jump scare with a lizard in this movie that made me laugh too. Just
Yeah.
like a bunch of little stupid things like that can just elevate a movie for me. So
Mhm.
I would probably have this as my favorite too, just by a hair. I would probably
Yeah.
say this and then Obsession and then Mystere is the bottom.
Yeah. I'm probably at the same ranking.
Yeah, so I'm not familiar with the box sets, but what people were saying online that I was seeing was they were saying this is the second best in the entire volumes. So I know Moodz has the big stack of them over there.
Oh,
Um,
are we talking about like the where this
yeah,
one
so
ranks
I
Before
was
within
we
the
seeing
volume
a
set?
lot of people say
before we
that
do
this
that,
was
Moose,
the
how do you rank
second
the three?
the three
Oh,
movies.
these 3 films.
Yeah, how do
Um,
you rank them?
well, this one I came up on. I originally had it as 6, so I would have been with that one. But I do the Mystere. This is probably my favorite one. Then I would the way we watched them actually. Obsession 2, and then Sweets from a Stranger at 3.
So you're the only one that has Mystere as your favorite.
Yeah, well, I laughed when JP he gave his ranking, and I was like, oh, that's funny because I think I'm like the polar opposite of that. So, but like talking about, so we're done with that. So you had brought up like people were talking about how this volume 7 might be the best
The
of.
second best. I think people say the one that has My Dear Killer is the best.
Okay, so Okay, so the first box set, I think. Oh my god, dude, I'm losing this already. So this first box set has trauma, police are blundering in the dark, and the killer is one of 13.
I heard
Um,
that Blundering in the Dark movie was bad.
yeah, well, I talked about that one. It's because there's no police in the fucking movie. There's no police
It's not
blundering.
good. Did you guys not? Did none of you watch that for 75?
I did. Yeah, it's
Everyone
horrible.
reminds
I
me how
can't.
bad.
I may have. I can't remember.
So this set is
Yeah,
kind
it
of it's
sucks.
kind of an outlier for me because like I haven't watched the other one. The killer is one of I haven't watched that one yet, which I feel like
That's the best one in the set.
is an Agatha Christie. Is it like that type of story? Oh no, maybe I can't remember if I watched it or not. Maybe I did. I can't remember. So volume 2
I thought
has
Trauma was pretty decent too.
yeah. Volume 2 has The Girl in Room 2A, My Dear Killer, and The French Sex Murders. This is a good box set, man. I like all three of these movies.
Yeah,
My Dear
that
Killer
one wipes the other one, the new
yeah,
one.
yeah, this one is well, I mean
yeah, that's the one everybody was saying was the best one.
yeah, like Girl in Room 2A was a great Mondo release. My Dear Killer was fucking awesome. French Sex Murders is pretty good too. That's a solid one. Like those are three films that I would rewatch kind of thing. That's a good one. So volume 3 had Autopsy, which is fantastic, which
Yeah, I
you know
like
my
Autopsy.
Murder
Just that
Mansion
alone makes it a better box set.
yeah, it does. Murder Mansion is
Yeah.
another good one. And Crazy Desires of a Murder, I have not watched yet, so I'm not sure on that one, but that one's got two really good ones in it. So which is interesting. So volume 4, what was one? Oh yeah, it has or Bella, the Black Angel, fucking super sleazy. The Sister of Ursula, which I fucking love that movie. That's one of my all-time favorites, actually, like in the whole giallo genre. And the killer's still among us, which is okay. But this one right here,
Yeah, I like The Killer's Still Among Us. I've
I
seen
like
that
all,
one.
yeah, I like all three of those better than any of the ones in this new set.
I think. Wait,
Yeah,
or is that the?
me too. Me
Yeah,
too.
yeah, I
But
think so.
Sister of Ursula, like along with My Dear Killer, are two of the best so far, in my opinion. Volume 6, Death Carries a Cane, Naked You Die, which is pretty good. And
Oh, yeah, that was earlier this year.
yeah, and The Bloodstained Shadow, that's another really solid film. So that's two really good ones in there. And then we have this one, fuck, this is volume 5. Sorry, that was volume 6. So volume 5, whatever, is A White Dress for Marlene, Tropic of Cancer, and 9 Guests for a Crime, which is definitely a take on the Agatha Christie story.
I haven't watched any of those.
Same with me. Haven't even dug into one of these, so I can't even comment. That's so fucking funny that you haven't watched those. But I
That's
mean,
funny as
as
fuck.
for this being the second best, bullshit, dude. I
So
think
you're
that there's
saying people are fronting?
way better
Yeah,
sets out there.
It's horseshit. It's literally in the middle.
I mean, even if you had
Maybe
only
middle
seen
bottom.
Autopsy from Volume 3, it's better than all three of those movies.
I was gonna say I've seen Autopsy for 75, and that movie is
But
like
Volume
20% better
2
than
is the
any of these.
banger. It's got 3 really good ones. Really good ones.
French Sex Murders is so good. It's so sleazy.
Yeah, it's super, super fucking sleazy. Naked You Die is good, man. That was an upgrade for me from like the Dark Sky DVD, is the Margaretti film.
Did you watch? Have you seen that yet? The Blu-ray in that set yet? Naked You Die.
No, I haven't watched the Blu-ray yet. No.
So I didn't know this, but like I watched the Italian language version, and it was like 98 minutes. But then there's like a US dub that's like 80 something minutes. But the movie is fucking shot in English, so it's like, what version should I watch?
I have this weird thing with my mentality. If like a film's shot in English, I have to, because if you're watching the Italian dub and you can clearly see them speaking English, it drives me nuts. It drives me fucking nuts, man.
Yeah, I would. But you're saying that the problem is that the Italian cuts longer.
Yeah, it's like 15 minutes longer.
That's
Yeah,
a big difference. So, did you look up to see what the 50 minutes are? Is it like a lot of exposition, or is it just like random shit? Like, if it's not gore and shit that really means more to the plot, or I mean to the narrative or whatever, then sometimes run times can be deferring, or they can be enticing. You know what I mean? Like you got to really look into it. Like there's a couple versions, like directors, like there's a director's cut every once in a while that's like the shorter version, but it's the better one. You know, like, you know what I mean? Like it happens sometimes. You just kind of have to look into it. So
Right.
Yeah.
Also,
15 minutes is a
runtime.
lot, but 15 minutes is
Yeah.
a fucking lot of time though.
Also,
Runtimes in
too, like the
general.
Italian dub kind of gives away the killer.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, like just by the voice they use for a certain character, like that doesn't seem right.
Oh, that's crazy. Wow.
Watch the English version.
I think I'm pretty fucking sure on the Dark Sky DVD, it was the dub. But don't quote me on that. Don't quote me. I don't want to be pulling no Tyler, no fact check and shit. So
Yeah.
um yeah, so okay, sounds like there's better box sets out there in this line. But
Volume 2 is a
overall, I
banger.
mean, I
They're
think
all
that
worth it though.
I think it's like super cool that I mean, seven fucking Giallo box sets, like that's crazy.
Well, I think when the fifth volume came out, I heard through the grapevine or someone posted they said they're releasing at least four more or three or four. I can't remember what it was, but so that would mean maybe one or two more. I don't know.
Well, I think if you make it to 9, you got to do 10.
Right, you would have to. But I feel like, you know, at this rate, like they're digging up these obscurities and shit. Like, there's got to be more. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm sure there is.
I mean, I'm sure they sell well. I mean, I honestly don't know. Like when you start releasing so much of something, maybe people will become disinterested. I hope we didn't defer people from buying it because that's not what we're trying to do here because we're not giving these things 8s and 9s.
I
But
mean, a 6 is positive, you know what I mean? Like I liked every single movie in the set.
you know, it really depends on who you talk to because we talk to people like we talk about ratings all the time, and you know my thoughts on like ratings for dummies. People want to hear ratings, but I don't take them personally too serious unless I watch a film. But if someone gives something like a 6 out of 10, it doesn't defer me from watching it. In fact, 6 is fine for me. So like if Tyler gives something a 6, you have to also know your reviewer, your audience. If Tyler gives something 6, I know I'm probably at a 9. You know what I mean? So, so but like if JP gives something like a 7, like I mean like a 6 or a 5.5, like I'm intrigued by that. I'm very, very intrigued. Like it just depends on here. So I think ratings are very, very interesting. It's like, even like we talk ratings with Dave Z and stuff, and I'm like, I think JP jokes about like taking or you know putting a lot of thought into his ratings and stuff like that. I'm
It's
like,
not a joke.
I think he really does. Where I find it's super fucking hilarious.
No, I feel like I have to because the world knows that mine are like really important. So I can't let the people down.
I
It's
never
true.
thought
I can't sleep at night not knowing if JP like wasn't like truthful in his ratings.
Yeah, like if I didn't put thought into it and I give a rating and then later after the podcast, after dinner, after shower, Tony's laying in bed thinking about it and he's like, I feel like
I
he didn't put his heart into that one. The universe just feels off now.
I never realized how narcissistic you are, man. It's fucking crazy, man. Like I've known you for 12
Personally,
years or whatever. It is crazy to me.
personally, I just curate all my ratings so the letterbox community doesn't get mad at me. Better safe than sorry.
I just rate everything 5 stars, so it doesn't even matter.
Well, I feel like people watching my letterbox last month probably thought the same thing because I was watching like tons of my favorite Italian films and then some of my
you're just
favorite
giving out
Christmas films.
10s
It was like
every
10s
fucking
everywhere because
day.
like they're literally my favorite. I will say though, like the artwork on this Gialli box set though is, I mean,
Not only that, but even like the disc arts are really good. Like
it's so good. This is one of my favorites
The
actually.
Obsession one is like a straight New York Ripper. Or no, fucking Sweets. It's like a New York Ripper
Mhm.
rip off.
I just noticed from you holding it, but the titles on this side are in color, and almost all the ones in the pile behind you are all in white.
Oh yeah.
The very
except for that
the
one's
very
all
first
red.
box set is in red
Uh,
and they're all in white. Yeah, you're right. This one
Is
is
that
actually
one all in red? There's a
No,
little
it's
green.
different
No,
fonts.
that's I like
It's-
that. Keep
it's
that
different
up.
fonts. But you have to admit though, like when you look at this, what do you like for someone that likes Bond films? Does that not represent like it feels Bondy?
Yeah, like a spy thing.
It
Yeah,
does.
you know,
Plus, it has the cane weapon too, which we didn't even mention. But yeah, I really like that aspect in the
oh
first
yeah,
movie.
the cane. Yeah, forgot about
I
that.
love a cane weapon.
We
But
didn't bring that up actually
I
with the
think that
retractable knife. Yeah.
I
Mhm.
think that the cool thing, like obviously one of the cool things about these box sets are just like how good they look like on the shelf. Like
Yeah.
it's
Mhm.
just cool. It's like a cool, they're all uniform for the most part, other than fonts and stuff, but they just have like I love that the box set itself is like a collage of the movies and it's just like the art of everything. It's just they're really neat. And I wish they would put out more of the TV terrors and the homegrown horrors too, because those are really cool box sets.
I think that we'll get more of those. I mean,
Oh yeah, we better get another homegrown horrors next year, or else I'm gonna
homegrown horrors is
fucking
What do we
protest.
have? Two
we
or
got two
three?
of them.
Three. We got three
Three?
of them.
Is it three? Yeah, there's three of them. Yeah,
Yeah.
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 yeah,
I
three.
love the homegrown horrors ones. The first one was really awesome. I watched all three of
They've all
those.
been fun, man. I like the TV one too. That was pretty fun too.
Yeah.
Anytime a company releases anything with TV attached, I'm like all for it because there's so much good stuff out there, and
Mhm.
there's so much good stuff that has not been released. It's crazy. So
I know. Speaking of Amanda
potential,
Reyes, like her book that chronicles like TV movies, horror movies is like really dope. And there's definitely a lot in that book
right?
that's not on disc.
Well, we've definitely in like all the top 10 years that we prepped on 22 shots. All of us watch a lot of the TV films, and there's tons of those don't have releases, but
Mhm.
it
I
just
had
makes you
one in
wonder,
my
man.
top 10 of 75, Satan's
Would you
Trial.
guys consider like the Netflix like exclusive like movie or like the HBO exclusive movie like the new like TV movie?
Yes.
Yeah, but it's not the
Those are
same.
100% fucking TV movies, and I don't
Yeah.
care what anybody says. Like Netflix originals have a fucking look to them. You know what I mean? Like I
Yep.
can look at a Netflix movie and just say that's a Netflix movie.
I mean,
Same
I'll
with the
even
Tubi
say
movie. They all look the same.
Oh,
I won't
speaking of
say
that,
I won't say the title, but I do have a TV movie I think that people need to see this year that are it's definitely in
speak
contention.
Is it Cat
What do you
Lake?
mean you won't say it?
Hmm. All right, I'll say it. That HBO thing, Uzumaki. People need to watch that. That one's good.
No, I don't know
Okay.
if I can
I'll
handle
so
watch it.
speaking
Uzumaki.
of fucking Tubi, so last night I end of the night had some time and I'm like, well, I'm gonna watch that fucking Tubi exclusive, the Low Lives film, Low Life. So I
I
click
gotta
on
watch that one still.
so I click on a fucking Tubi and I'm like, go fucking figure here. Canada getting fucked again. It's not available on Canada's Tubi.
What?
And it's a Tubi fucking original.
I finally saw that movie
I'm
Dude,
like,
Smart.
I
Two
how
don't
the
days
even
fuck
ago.
does that happen, dude? I'm
The
like, this is
best Tubi
well,
movie, you can't even watch it.
exactly.
it was probably not produced by them. It was probably fucking picked up. That's
But the
probably
fact that
why.
it's like Tubi,
Yeah,
like,
there's
I
no
mean,
way it's a Tubi original.
there is a lot of Tubi films that you guys have that we don't have, but I couldn't believe that that one wasn't like an original. I was like, that's crazy.
Yeah, that's a bummer. Literally
Yeah.
the only Tubi movie that will get recommended to anyone this year.
Why
So
was
I
it
hear
actually was it good?
Parker loved it
Yeah,
too.
it's
Yeah,
yeah,
I've
What
Yeah.
Low
is
heard
Lives
it?
is
What
awesome.
Low
I've heard
Lives?
mostly positive things about it
I
too.
like the movie Low Life that came out a couple years ago too from IFC. That one was really good. I actually have that signed by the dude that stars in it.
Like
Oh,
the luchador, like fucking
Yeah.
the robbery movie. Yeah,
Yeah.
that was pretty sweet.
It was fucking good, man. Yeah. So
but
I was like super excited. I'm like, another movie like Low Life that's actually good. I'm like, I'm excited to click on a Tubi. I'm like, damn it. Fuck. Every
that's
time.
wild.
Yeah, it is
We
wild,
just
man.
never have to deal with that here. Like we never are like fuck, it's in Canada but not here.
So when like Netflix was getting tons of like, I wouldn't say original films, but they were getting a lot of horror films and stuff. Um, we were only getting maybe 10% of those. And it was so frustrating because I'm like, everyone's like, oh, I watched this one on Netflix. Like Netflix has been trashed like all year. Like if you guys even watched a film on Netflix, like a horror
I
film, like
watched
an
a
I
original.
watched
couple.
Platform 2.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, I
I
watched that
got
one.
platform
Yeah,
I
too.
watched that. I watched
I
Time
watched.
Cut, and that movie
Yeah, I watched.
sucked ass.
Time Cut was
Dude, I
bad.
knew you were gonna not like Time Cut
Time Cut was
because
really bad.
you're not like really a big fan of like that. I
I'm
think you
not
were telling
even
me,
sure that that's even available on Canada Netflix time
It
cut. Oh no, I think
sucks.
it is actually.
dude.
I love
I
slashers, and I
liked
didn't
it.
like that movie. That movie fucking
Um,
sucks.
But
I
didn't you
watched
tell me
actually a
that you weren't a
couple.
fan of like that new like thing they're doing with like the time travel-y like
Uh,
thing?
yeah, I am kind of over like the weird little fucking shticks, but It's literally like Totally Killer, except worse in every
But it's like,
aspect.
yeah, I
Dude, it
agree.
literally is. It is a less good Totally Killer. But I don't know, the time travel things just work for
Um,
me. I didn't think it was that bad.
I thought it was very bad.
Totally Killer was good.
Yeah,
I
I
Totally
really
like
Killer
liked it.
was good.
I really
That
liked
movie's
it.
great.
It was
I
legit
watched
funny too.
that movie Woman of the Year. That was a Netflix exclusive.
Yeah, see, we don't have that one either. I
That
already
one
told you guys
was
that.
that one was fine. Like it's
Woman of the Hour, you mean?
yeah, Woman of the Hour.
Is that
That
what I
movie's
used? Oh, did
fine.
you fuck that title up? Jesus, you gotta
Yeah,
start fact checking yourself,
I
dude.
did.
You guys see Under
Yeah, that one
Paris,
was
that shark movie?
I didn't watch that
no.
one.
It's on our Netflix. I was curious. It's the French one. It's a French
Yeah,
film.
by
Yeah.
Xavier Jeans.
I watched another Netflix one that was better than all of those, but it was still just like solid. I forgot what it was called. It was called like What's Inside. That movie was probably the best of the Netflix movies I've watched this year. That movie
Jeez.
That's
The
on my list.
the
Apparently they paid
outside one,
17 million for that.
I don't even
uh,
have one movie.
outside that one on Netflix, that one was not good. It's like the infected film. It's like
Mm.
Asian. I
I
don't know if
never
it's
even heard of that.
Korean.
Quick
and
question.
then
So, did anybody watch the sequel to Night Watch on Shudder?
no.
Like, I
No.
haven't
No,
I
heard
want to
one
dude, I
watch
person mention it.
forgot all about
I
that.
haven't heard
I want
one
to
person.
watch the original again before I watch the new
Yeah,
one. I haven't
yeah,
gotten around to it. It's been so
yeah,
long.
yeah. We
I've
watched it
actually
for
watched the original a couple times over the last couple years because it was on summer series as well.
what year
Like
did we do it
apparently
for?
it's just a straight
91?
direct
94.
sequel.
94.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was, yeah, definitely 94. Um, yeah, Woman of the Hour, I
So
was another one I was super pissed about. I'm like, fucking Netflix,
it's
man.
not even worth being pissed about.
It's not worth being
But it's
pissed
just the
about.
fact that we don't have that again. It's like, fuck, the only movies that are even coming out, like, we don't even get them. It's stupid.
Yeah, because
Um,
isn't that just a Netflix
yeah, I know that's a weird
original? I
one.
feel like they made that movie.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
And
does
it's
feel
funny
like
that you
that.
don't have it.
Nope, don't have
Yeah.
it.
Um,
Crazy.
so obviously we don't know what we're doing next month yet. Usually we give the thing, but what was the release of the month here for you guys?
Okay, what's yours?
Mine is fucking the Giallo box set.
All right.
It's surely not Dialed Dick for Demons
Yeah, no, it's not Dialed Douche
or
for Demons.
Mindbenders, and I unfortunately didn't watch Tyler's, but I assume you guys seem to like that one.
Well, mine's
Or
definitely
no,
mine's Corpse Mania.
yeah. See, I really like the Ghost Dance one too, though. I forgot
Yeah,
about that.
Corpse Mania is definitely the best, but this is the most important. So I'm
Yeah.
gonna go with this one.
Hey man, the reasons for picking it doesn't even matter. Whatever you want to do, it's all good, man.
Yep.
I've been a big fan of Corpse Mania for a long time. I think it's really interesting.
And
But I do agree with Tyler.
seriously,
I do wish that they had amped up the kills a little bit more. But again, it's such a short movie, and it's weird for Shaw Brothers to have an 82-minute movie. They're always 100 minutes. Um, so it doesn't really affect it too much. I think it's just an intriguing film. I like the way the story is told. It's so Hong Kongy to do that, but it's
it's worth
gross.
it just for the 4K too, because it looks incredible.
It's incredibly gross in 4K. Like those maggots
The
in the
fucking
bodies,
maggots.
they
Ugh.
look sick, dude. Like they're fucking gross, man. It's actually nasty. So I'll give them that. But I really thought going into this month that this box set was gonna be my my release of the month, but it just wasn't. It just wasn't. I
It
mean,
wasn't meant to be.
Yeah, sometimes that
It's definitely the
happens.
most interesting box set out of the bunch, in my opinion.
it's interesting for the time these movies were made and stuff for sure. But I mean, some of those box sets have just some bangers on there, man.
Yeah,
Sister
those
Ursula, man.
got
If
some
you've never seen that
classics.
movie, you gotta see that shit. Like the fucking weapon in that one. Pooh.
That's a sleazy little set right there. That and Arabella Black Angel.
Dude,
Like that's some sleazy ass shit in that set.
probably two of the sleaziest
Super
giallos ever
erotic.
made, man. Like it's crazy. Like in the same
Yeah.
set, that should have been the sleazy guy. They should subtitle these things like sleazy fucking whatever. But like they could have even done that. That's one thing they never did. Like, because they definitely themed this one out with obscure 80s. it could have been the obscure 80s Giallo Volume 7 or whatever. Like, just have a subtitle to, we know it's Forgotten Gialli.
Yeah, why not? Just throw like a little extra logo on the front
Yeah.
for fun. It's almost like a subtitle, like Friday the 13th Part
Yeah.
7, The New Blood.
I could have
Right.
called this one the Forgotten Italian Crime Movies.
Whatever.
Anything else?
Something 80s would have worked.
Um,
Something 80s would have worked though.
I
Whatever.
think maybe, yeah, I don't know. It's like almost Giallo box set.
Yeah, Forgotten almost Giallos.
Close but not close but no cigar, Volume 7.
Yeah.
We got some elements, but the lowest.
Didn't they do that with like a slasher where they're like this never before seen slasher and then like was he doing a slasher?
Yeah,
Oh,
they did
dude.
that. They do that
Vinegar
all the
Syndrome
time.
is the king of calling things slashers that aren't slashers.
The
Like
Black Room.
half the back of their cases say like early regional slasher from this, and it's like you watch it and you're like, that wasn't a slasher in the slightest.
Yeah, it's nice when they actually release a slasher from the golden age for once.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think that's going to do it. I think we're done
Yeah, I
here
think
for
so. I think so.
episode 11 of the Sin Bin podcast. I guess that's, nothing else to report. We don't know what we're doing, so you guys will see what we're doing when we're doing it.
Yeah, I'm sure we're gonna talk about fucking blood trap, ice tracks, whatever the fuck that movie's called.
Blood Tracks.
Yeah, blood tracks.
I think it's
Maybe
a good pick.
Congo.
I think it's a good pick for the feature review just because it is, got a winter setting. And
Yeah, but you don't know. They could release a fucking even more winter setting.
Like Cannibal Holocaust or not Cannibal the Musical.
what do you mean, like another fake slasher film?
Hopefully.
But
Yeah.
yeah, we'll see what.
Could you imagine if it was iced? That
my
would be
God.
fuck. That would be like the
Iced
most.
and Blood Tracks in the same month.
That would be so sick.
God.
That would be
That'd
a
be
double. That would be a
insane.
double headliner for the feature because we'd have to. It'd be like winter fucking horror. That's amazing.
For real.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. Like we've almost been doing this a year now. It's nuts.
Yeah, it's 11 episodes, man. All right, dudes, we're out of here. Check you guys next month. Deuces.
Peace.